All right, we are going to kick off day two. Pia is actually going to lead us through our revenue since I neglected to do that yesterday.
This sheet, right?
Yes. Mhm.
Well, it's that sheet, but you need to follow along with what I'm gonna tell you, because otherwise you'll get lost. So as is on the screen is your revenue and levy worksheet. The top part is the property tax funds. As we spoke yesterday, there is a 6% growth quotient. So the 2026 levy is increased by 6% to give the 27 levy. So, and then we paid off our debt. So that's why that doesn't have any for 27. The amount for the health department line in there also includes that part that we added back in January
Mhm.
because they were low. So we have that part in for 27 likewise. So then going down to the local income tax line, what we have put in for our 2026 starting numbers. So the certified share at 15.865. That is the amount that was budgeted last year, plus the amount of supplemental that we received in May. For the projection for 2027, we have used that amount, the amount that we receive monthly plus the supplemental times 6%. Or increased by 6%. So the amounts that are on the screen in the other columns will show you what it would be if, so the 2026 amount that the state gave us was 23.8 million, which is the far right-hand column that I've added.
Mhm.
Then the one just to the left of that is the 26 plus a 6%.
Mhm.
Then if you had the 26 amount just plus your supplemental, that would be the amount, obviously, that's what we had. And then so there's some discretion here. We're gonna get from the state sometime. I don't know exactly when that is. They could send it today. No idea. But they'll send us an estimate of probably, did they already send it? Like
My,
right now.
my contact sent it to me earlier this morning.
Yeah, so, and they might have sent us the 26 amount less 10%, because they want to be conservative. You can budget whatever you feel like.
But this is your educated guess.
But my educated guess is that, we had a growth quotient of 6%. For the property taxes, we probably should have that for the same for income tax. So do with it what you may. I mean, one thing you could do, I thought of this yesterday evening, is budget your 2026 plus a 6%, or the 2026 plus the supplemental and leave that. And then come next May, when you get your supplemental, then go, oh, these are the items that were kind of wish list items back last August. Now we know how much money we're getting from supplemental.
Yeah.
Then let's apply that to the overlay project.
Mhm. Yeah. I hear you.
Or, the new domed pickleball courts or whatever. Does that help?
It does. What?
Then another thing that I wanted to point out here too, and I'll scroll down slightly. And is Barb in the room? She's not, she might be online. The other change in the miscellaneous revenues, and we talked about those yesterday. Miscellaneous revenue is where the amount for the emergency management that the state sends us back, their salary, that goes in like a refunds and reimbursements, or it goes in one of these line items.
Got it.
And so we use that miscellaneous revenue to fund our general fund. So it's not like it's free money that comes in. We account for that.
Okay.
But the one item that is, you know, somewhat subjective is the earnings on investments. And you see that increased 800,000. That amount we got from Barb. So if you have questions about that dollar amount, I would ask Barb, you know, if you wanna revisit that.
Do you know what we collected in 25?
For interest
Yeah,
that went to the general fund,
yeah.
I'm sure someone either across the way or to my right can figure that out.
Okay, perfect.
Cause I don't have that on the top of my head.
No,
Or
that's
even
fair.
year-to-date 2026.
Yeah, do we have year-to-date 26?
Now.
Yeah.
That's a good question.
So I wanted to,
Interesting to have the answer to that question.
so I wanted to kind of, you know, that's definitely a decision point for you, especially the methodology for your local income tax.
Okay. Do we have questions and do we have opinions on how we should budget, especially the local income tax?
That's a good question.
I like the idea of not saying no on wish list items, but not
Approving yet?
approving until we have a better idea of what we're getting. Don't spend it till you get it. It's what I was always taught about any additional income that you may be expecting. So
Well,
We have enough.
I-
true.
the thing is this, we need to look further than 2027. We need to think about future years. And let me tell you, it is not very pleasant. Mark and I have had several years that we had to make major cuts. I mean, major like $3 and $5 million, you know, and that's not very pleasant. From what I have looked at the budget that has been presented today with minor tweaking here and there, we have the money to pay for everything at this point in time. If we get more after that, you know, we need to start developing a capital fund. And that's how we start, look, the sheriff are gonna have to come up at some point in time with new, body, how do you?
Body cameras.
Body armor.
No, the protective thing.
Best.
Vests?
Yeah, and body cameras, and we're gonna have to have new telephone system, HVAC, all that kind of stuff, you know, that, and we have also a building to build.
You look at the rainy day, because we're gonna use some of that.
Yeah.
As one-time expenses, so, either we carve it out of that, one bucket for this, and one bucket for that.
Right.
We're fortunately being able, over the last several years, to put our extra revenue into that, building those up, full well knowing what our 5-year plan.
Yeah. We have been very lucky in the last several years in that the ARP has picked up expenses that would have come from county general. And that's why we have had some of the surpluses that we have. But let's protect that because what's in the future, we have no idea what's gonna come down with. Particularly when local income tax goes higher and property taxes go low, we don't know that that's gonna come out. And we also have the issue about the highway. You know, we're not putting the kind of, for the kind of money that we're putting, we're not doing the number of highway that we have done in years past. A lot of it because of the cost of the material has gone so high. So I think that we need to start taking care of our, even though in Bartholomew County, we have pretty darn good roads, there's still a lot that can be improved in those roads.
As the finance driven, I don't want to punch back at the finance group when you guys meet. Have you discussed this yet?
Yeah,
And what did you come up with consensus?
Well, we discussed that we need to work on that.
Okay.
Yeah,
So it's on the list of
Okay.
of issues.
no, we don't have a plan yet.
Alright.
Okay, I'm interested in your opinion on local income tax revenue. What do you think we should budget for income, Mike?
Well, my source, my top secret source, has it lower.
Like like closer to the 26 plus supplemental line, the 27?
And maybe I should share this with Pia before I say the numbers, so I'm not saying the wrong numbers. So why don't I do
Perfect.
that?
You
and
can
then-
text that to me, Mike, if it's on your phone.
Yeah,
I have a phone.
Because I'm leaning towards, let's budget for 26 plus some supplemental, because even if we're flat for the income, so the 20,
With the supplemental,
because that's equal to what we brought in 26.
It doesn't matter, I'm sure it's on the internet.
might as well just do it up front.
Yeah.
That's my gut.
Uh-huh.
You have,
I'm waiting, I'm.
you should. Today's my last day, so that's fine.
I don't know. That's why I'm asking.
If I didn't have funding set aside to cover that, even if it was like.
And if it's short, 1.5 million short, because that's the difference, is about 1.5 million.
All right, so I know where these numbers come from, and the numbers I need.
We did have the
We
same.
have, we have cash balances. I mean, it's not like.
Are you
we're gonna-
saying?
And we're already at 88% according to Reedy, so I
26
mean,
supplemental
Yeah.
and the 6?
so you know.
That's
like I
Is
fine.
that what you're proposing?
He's proposing that. I said, let's just budget for 26 plus supplemental.
Which I'm fine to.
You know, like,
The 6, I think's okay though, but I mean, we,
you're all, yes,
Are we
we're
splitting
fine.
hairs?
We're splitting hairs.
yeah.
Disturbing always to me.
Well, and the other thing that you also need to consider, even though in most of our meetings, we approve the grant money,
yeah,
but
but
there
then
have also been several departments who have come to us,
Counties that
you know,
they're gonna
requires
have bullshit.
new funding.
Yep.
Okay, and particularly in the courts, they have run out of money to cover for special cases and all that kind of stuff. So we need to make sure that we, I mean, we can become as liberal as we can, or as or conservative. I'd rather
I
go
can get off
conservative in that
the,
respect.
should be on the internet,
Yeah, let's just, we're already 15 minutes in the show.
Yeah.
If you want to move on, then bring this back up at 4
Yeah.
o'clock. Let's
Yeah, we'll deliberate at 4 o'clock.
Bring it back up at 4 and get back on at least on.
We're gonna kick it to the sheriff unless there's anything else you need to share, Pia, on income.
No, I will quit sharing my handiwork here. If I can figure out how to quit
Thank you
sharing.
for preparing that though, Pia, that's great.
I need talking, I'm not talking on up to that better.
Oh.
All right. I'll speak louder now. Oh, boy.
Council, we ready?
Yes.
Speak in the microphone. I was told I need to do it again.
Trouble.
I don't want to get in trouble. Okay. All right, council, thanks for obviously giving us the opportunity to present here today. We know you got a tough job and we appreciate everything you do. And obviously, I think over the years, it seems like you guys got this down to a pretty well-oiled machine as far as I'm concerned with the way it's been in the past. So I know I kind of talked to you guys on and off for the last couple of months. Nothing's really changed from when we spoke in the past. John's got the PowerPoint. He'll try to keep up with me. Just starting with the our overall sheriff's budget, the changes there. We figured in our budget the 2%. I know there's been talk with the 3.5%. That would be excellent if that was able to be done for all the county employees. The big thing on the personnel and operation is the additional headcount of 2 deputies and then the civilian analyst for detectives, and specifically more focused on our ICAC type investigations that we're doing here at Crimes Against Children. I know Lindsay had kind of brought that up yesterday. We increased our overtime shift differential basically just based on whatever the salary increase is. Just to touch a little bit on that overtime. As you know, John was here yesterday, and you know, there's a lot of driving factors. We're trying to do our best to keep track of that. We have a young department. With a young department, we have those that are starting families and having babies and that sort of stuff. So obviously that impacts our overtime with the new county policy on the child birth. So we've been tracking that. I know John gave you some information yesterday on that. I hope that helps. We'll keep monitoring that throughout the rest of this year. So hopefully next year we'll have a better grasp on the overtime that's where that impact is. The pension, 26,127, that was an increase so that's basically the personnel, and I'll get down in the weeds a little bit further here in a second on that. Our fleet, there's an increase there because we're adding the 2 deputies. Obviously, we gotta have equipment, police cars and that sort of stuff for those to be able to function. And then, on our capital, 54,000. We've been implementing a 5-year plan on our radios, our talkies. You remember several years ago, we had to come in and do a major purchase. It was like over $300,000 because our walkie-talkies were phasing out. Now we're basically every year trying to replenish those so that we don't get hit with a great big bill down the road, and we do a little bit every year at a time. So there's a slight increase there of 5,000. This is another year on our body armor replacement. We're doing a much better job of replacing we have to replace body armor every 5 years. So rather than you replace the whole department out every 5 years, we're going by when that body armor was purchased. That's one of those items that has gone up substantially. I'm sure Mark can testify what, he's $400 or $500. Now you're looking $1,500 for body armor for one employee. So there's stuff in there with the body armor, the new deputy, and then the SWAT and water rescue equipment. And then with the addition of the two deputies, there would be extra need for 2 more body cameras, fleet camera, and that so forth for that equipment, just instrumental to that. So $515,000 total all, and 515,377 for the overall sheriff side. We go to the next slide. That's just a snippet of the what you guys see in your budget. We'll go on to the next one there. Basically, and we'll get into the weeds here on the addition of the 2 deputies. Obviously, Bartholomew County is growing. Trust me, I'd rather see a lot more farm fields. Farm fields are pretty easy to police. Apartment complexes, housing additions, and warehouses and manufacturing facilities take more people, take more drain on public safety. So with that being the case, and specifically when you get talking about the US 31 and I-65 corridor and the expansions of stuff up there, we try to keep the deputy up there all the time. We do the best we can, but there's times that's probably we need at least 2, and sometimes it's the whole shift, maybe at times up there, because that is a large populated area. That if it was actually a city, it would probably have its own police department of several officers. So when you look at the numbers, population's near 85,000 for the whole county. We basically are responsible for about 32,000, a little over that, for that population with 409 square miles, and we run around 32 to 33,000 calls a year. Current staffing was the 48 merit deputies. That's a ratio of 1 deputy to 674 residents. The Indiana average is 1 to 526, and the national average is about 1 to 500. So when I met with you guys last year, my plan was to add a deputy for over 5 years, 1 a year. Training wise, academy times, and everything like that, you really can't, and it would be unreasonable for me to come in here and say, hey, I need 5 all at once. It takes about a year and a half to get one schooled up before we're actually counting that person really as head count. But we really need to look towards being able to increase our minimum staffing on the street. So our goal is to start now. So within the next year and a half, 2 years, we can start implementing that up. And then over the next 4 years, after we get to total 5, hopefully we can increase our minimums by 1 across all 3 jets.
Can I interrupt you for a minute? When you talk about the BSOs, when we increase our salaries for 2024, do you do a new contract with BCSC and Flat Rock? And what happens if they don't accept our increases, or is that an issue?
We have an MOU that we signed with the school corporations on the pay and the reimbursements to the county. I've not had any indications from the school that there's anything going to change on that. I obviously know the school was here yesterday. There's the referendum, how that's going to impact us. I don't have,
So
that
you-
information.
Never been an issue, has it?
It's never been an issue. It's never been questioned.
Okay.
So right now, we have a total of 3 SROs, 2 with this, Bartholomew County School Corp and 1 with Flat Rock Concrete. So we're basically 38% below our national average where we need to be with, and if we set the goal by 2030, we'll be at 1 to 610 on our population, which would be 53 deputies. Are we there? No, but are we heading the right direction? Yes. And then the next slide is just why this matters. Obviously, the risk of understaffing or response times get impacted if we're running call to call. You get the burnout. I'm very blessed, and I'll be the first one to say this. I'm probably one of the few sheriffs that can, out of 92, I have all my spots filled. I've got 2 in training cycle, 1 in the FTO program and 1 getting ready to graduate the academy this Thursday. And even on the jail side, I just swore in 4 here last week. We're staffed there. There's a lot of sheriffs that are jealous. And honestly, I got to pat you all on the back because of the work we've all did together. That's the reason why we're at where we're at. So we just need to, and then the coverage gaps, a lot of times we have a lot of call outs with our different teams, from accident reconstruction. If I get a fatal accident, that ties up the whole shift. And back to the overtime, then we got to call deputies in early or whatever, or have them hold over to cover the rest of that shift. So by having that extra staffing on the street, that's going to help us maybe not always have to backfill and call somebody in at a moment's notice. I already spoke about basically German Township and the growth up there. That we all see it. And this basically, we want to be proactive in our enforcement and being able to obviously do everything we can for the citizens of Bartholomew County. The next slide is just why a phased-in approach. One is, I think it's the most fiscal responsible way of doing it. The academy and the training pipeline, that's out of our hands. I got to basically, when I get them in the classes, to get 16 weeks of training there, plus another 15 to 16 weeks of FTO when we get back here. So by staggering this and doing this over a period of time, that helps us be able to manage that better.
So, Chris, help me understand this. I'm thinking that we kicked the 1 deputy down the road last year for you.
Right.
And if we don't fill the 2 this year for you, and it takes 16 months to get them through the process, heaven forbid that they don't make it through the process, either through the academy or through the field training, you're a year down the road then. So literally, if we don't fill these, you could be looking at 2 and 3 years down the road before you can get up there.
Very easily, that could be the case.
So
You could easily look at 2 years to 3 years, depending on.
if they
And the
don't make it,
38% would be even increased.
Yes.
Be at the
Could
number
be.
by 20.
so we kicked it down the road. If we don't do it now, we're really putting you in a bind.
Exactly. We're just going to keep going down the I don't foresee that our population is going to go in the downward trajectory. I think that obviously there's a lot of things that come to play on that, and we are lucky that we're not a donut county of Marion County. You talk to one of those sheriffs, they're going to tell you half their jail population is Marion County residents. I haven't quite felt that impact yet, but that could definitely be coming. The retention and is another thing, and just the workload. These guys and gals are out there, they're humping it every day. And there's a lot of times there's no breaks. They're running calls, especially in the evening hours. So that, you guys have any questions on the addition of the 2 head count?
The only question I have is around the fleet, because you're asking for more this year, but because we're increasing the size of your team, is that a permanent increase in fleet cost, or do you think you're gonna go back down? Like, how do you plan on managing fleet as you increase
Well, we-
numbers? Just so we can plan, I'm thinking long-term, not for 27. So I just wanted your thoughts here.
Next slide there.
It was, because
We've
you,
got a fleet report card.
oh,
um,
you do, okay.
Basically there, and that explains, Andy Whipper does a good
Gotcha.
job of managing our fleet. And with our total miles that we're driving and kind of where we're at in our age of our fleet, we drive around, average patrol officers put around 25,000 miles a year on a car.
Mhm.
So, yeah, there could be, if you're adding head count, there's going to be somewhere down the road, like right now, but those cars usually last around 5 years.
Right.
So probably with 5 years from now, there would be, those two cars would probably about timing out.
So I'm just thinking from the finance committee standpoint, as we plan, like, our revenues, our expenses, how do we make sure we're planning properly so your fleet
So
doesn't get too old?
every time you add a new officer, you're adding a vehicle, correct?
We're at, but that's going to be, you're going to, like I said, you're going to get around 5 years out
Right.
of a car.
Right.
So yeah, if we add two this year, I would say it's a safe guess, 5 years from now, those two cars will be timing out and they'll be added to that fleet number. Now, the gap in the middle,
Yeah, because we're gonna, if we add head count,
And Sheriff, when can you order the 6 vehicles? Do you have to wait until January or can you order it now?
January.
yeah.
Pardon me?
We have to have but obviously it has to be in the budget to start in January, then we
January,
can
he has
start
to
the
order.
vehicle purchasing. And there is a lot of lag time. It's about 6 months
Okay.
from the time like right now, we've got 5 vehicles that are in the process of being built that we ordered in January.
Okay, perfect.
And when you order a vehicle, how long does it take before you get it?
Do we want to look
Well,
at this as a-
those were ordered in January and we've got them, I've got 2 or 3 sitting there in the parking lot now, ready to be built.
Okay.
So it's a 6 to 7, 8 month turnaround from the time you order it till the time that car is cut loose on the street.
See, that I think is an issue. That,
There's always issues, wrecks or
Yeah,
total
but he's already waiting on this year's cars, so like, he's got a steady stream of cars coming in.
We basically will have an overflow. I know that yesterday the commissioner said, how many vehicles we had in our fleet. Now granted, that's counting drones, boats, trailers, and
Oh, so you don't have 91 cars?
and we don't have 91
Drones
cars.
count as part of
So-
the fleet.
And there's overlap, because there's the five I think we got this year, 5 or 6. Unfortunately, we wrecked a couple of cars. That happens in police work, unfortunately. And we just got 2 more cars on order, but we were able to use insurance money and that to make that work out.
Okay, thank you. That was
We
my,
did.
when we think about resourcing a growing staff, I just want to make sure we're planning appropriately for you. Okay.
Is there anything else on the merit staff?
One of the things on We Are Today slide, there's 32,714 calls per service. Calculate that about 681 per deputy. How does that compare? Do you have any idea how that compares to other counties around us or the state averages?
I don't have that number on.
Because I was hoping that our rate is better than other
We're safer.
places that we have less crime here, but I would be just curious.
That 32,000, I mean, that's anything from an alarm to a traffic stop to you name it. So, yeah, I don't have that. Usually, when I look at the stats, it's usually just based on population and those ratios.
Probably similar ratios. Okay, thanks.
What does adding the 2 in 27 do to the ratio?
Well, we're right now at 1 to 674. We're at the end of at 5, we're at 1 to 610, so you're probably 1.
Like 2/3 are,
So I'll take basically 2/3 off that, so probably 630, 640.
Then you gotta look 2 years down the road, time to hit the streets, you're gonna get 40,000 calls, so it's gonna change the dynamics totally anyway.
Yeah, these, you bless us today and we get the money in January. If we got a hiring process going on right now, I've got kind of people in the chamber, you might say. If I was lucky enough to get them in the academy in January, you're looking at probably this time next year, maybe a little bit later, basically the end of next year before we actually see, and that's if all the stars line up and we're able to get somebody hired and get through background checks and all that other stuff.
And there is a community-wide initiative to try to attract additional people to living, not only in the city, but also in the county. And so there is a true specific initiative for that. So if it is successful, we may see growth be a little bit more accelerated than just average normal growth.
On
We
that,
have a large percentage that work or live outside of Bartholomew County, but work inside
Mhm.
Bartholomew County.
the one thing I forgot we did apply for a COPS grant. A lot of these federal grants, they kind of give you a window and they're really quick. We was able to hustle up, get those put in for that. That can help offset the cost of the hiring and the benefits of these deputies for up to 3 years. Now, that grant won't cover a whole 3 years. It's probably about a year to 2 years on that. But even if you look at it futuristically for, say, next year for the one and the next 3 years after that, that money can definitely help. Hopefully that offset, but we don't know what that grant is yet. If we're going to receive it or not, probably won't know till, I'm guessing, maybe October, November. But that is floating around out there, but I would more look at that more on the future play.
Found mine.
The analyst. A lot of departments were kind of behind the curve. We don't have a criminal analyst on staff. I know the city police has got at least 2, if not 3, that they've been adding over the last few years. And with our involvement with ICAC, Internet Crimes Against Children, we have a lot of, let's just say there's a lot of evil people in the world. And there's a lot of evil people that are online. And they do a lot of evil things. And we have to protect our kids. I don't care, there are a lot of things we do, but this one here, I think that we can all can agree on that it's very important. And when you look at ICAC, just in the state of Indiana, 30,000 tips that come in through them. There's 499 arrests, 126 kids rescued, and 203,000 national cases. 29% increase from 25 to 26. And the analysts, we get these tips, but we only have so much capacity. And this individual can dive into the weeds on when the tips are coming in to be able to decipher through those who are the detectives, what needs to be followed up, what can be followed up, and what's, credible leads to be able to act on. So the position would be, it's a non-sworn position. And I've been asked, like, why don't we just ask for a detective? Well, obviously, add another merit, there's cars and all the equipment that we just talked about. But it's real easy to get that person doing other things. Where if you have an analyst that this is what they're doing, this is what they're assigned to do, then that's what they're going to come to work to do. And it won't just be just totally a big percentage of their job will be the ICAC stuff, but they're going to have to take a break from that stuff too. And we have a wealth of information with whether intelligence coming out of the jail on other cases out there, working with the intelligence-led policing unit with the city police to be able to do with property crimes and that type of stuff that they'll also be focused on also. But a big part of this will be hopefully helping dive through those tips and stuff with ICAC.
2 questions. With your minimum requirements that you're wanting for this position, first question is, if city's got 2, what are they paying their analysts? And number 3, I guess 3 question is, if you're asking 75 and I'm looking at your requirements, why would an investigator jump for less pay for a position for an analyst?
Well,
The city, I mean, is that what they're paying? I have no clue.
that, Brandon. that
It's
was-
very similar. So the city, I believe, has 2 civilian analysts and they've got a pay window. The high end of that window for this year was 74,000 and some change.
Did they
Obviously,
maybe
the city's
tell
gonna get a
them?
raise, so it'll be above 75.
I just worry about the pay, because
Well, that could be an issue. And obviously, and I gave you guys a copy of our job description and what the requirements, and the requirements are pretty deep.
Mhm.
The ideal candidate would be somebody that's probably coming out of law enforcement, that's got investigator and detective experience, that's typed subpoenas, that's done all that type of stuff. Done search warrants, that maybe is ready to retire from, out on the streets doing that, and more apt to want to be in the office more. So we'll have to see,
see how it goes.
see where it leads us. And you all know that I'm not bashful, so I'll come back and say, well, that didn't work. We may have to tweak those numbers. But I think where we're at is a good starting point. It's needed. It's where we're at in the world with the stuff that we've got to deal with. I know that, this is, when you think about internet, you think about, well, this is bigger than Bartholomew County. It is bigger than Bartholomew County, but you got people that'll come states away here or come from here to go other places around the country to unfortunately victimize our kids.
I know it's cheaper than having a deputy do it,
Mhm.
training the civilian, so I applaud you for that.
Is there any
Nope, makes sense to me.
questions on that? I think,
On the issue of
I think
salaries,
and obviously there'll be, I know the prosecutor spoke on this, and obviously she's very supportive of this analytical position because it'll obviously help her office out too on different cases that they've got pending in their office.
the issue of salaries. The prosecutors, the thing that we talked about, utilizing the job and the prosecutors and doing this thing, is there a salary difference between the?
And there's
Big-
two
big
different
difference.
functions, but, I was questioning, actually 75 I thought was low to find somebody, but if they're filling it there, we'll see how it goes, but I think closer to 100 for the investigator, if I remember right, out of the prosecutors.
Because at least we have to be comparable for equal responsibility to that of the city also. So that's something I think that we need to get better data. I'm asking that, I don't know.
Or, well, he said if he needs more, he's not bashful, he'll come back.
Yeah.
Okay.
So keep us
I'm
posted.
supportive of it, I just think it's low.
With what analysts we're paying across the street, I think that we're in
Ballpark.
the ballpark. I do think that our description and what we're wanting to do is probably a little bit a heavier weight lift than what maybe a typical civilian analyst. This job probably is not suited for that person that went to school or not been exposed to certain things. It may, like I said, hopefully we'll be able to attract that seasoned.
So you can't can't take Scott or anybody from IT here then.
Well, maybe.
Well, Michael Bell was saying that the prosecutor in the prosecutor's office, that job was rated $110,000. So we're, from a budgetary point of view, we're okay. I mean, we may have to doctor that thing, but to me, what's important though, I'd rather do it on the front end rather than the back end, that the salary range for your job will be equal to or comparable to what the city's paid
We're getting behind schedule.
for equal responsibilities.
Keep us posted. Okay,
We're good on the sheriff's side. We'll go jump over to the jail. On the jail budget, other than we kept it at the 2% salary. And I hope we land on a 3.5, and then there's some, and I'll get into the weeds here in a minute on the rank structure and the total increase of 73,480. Overtime shift differential pretty much stayed just within one of the allocated percentage, whatever the raise is going to be. Our food cost went up 3.9%. That's just $25,000. 86,000 in professional services. That's for our inmate medical, and then in jail repairs. We've seen an increase in jail repairs over probably the last 2, 3, 4 years. And that's because the building's getting older. And I know the commissioners take care of a lot of the building, but the stuff inside the building's getting older. We had to come back this year and we had to get new washing machines. I've got built in $31,000 because obviously if the washing machines went out, the dryers are the same age. Matter of time they go out, so we want to replace the dryers. The dishwasher, we need to replace that. We'd originally, when I met with you guys earlier, we was looking at about $120,000. Major Slate, he wants to negotiate and got that down to $82,000. And we were able to work with some monies in the commissary account, and we've already got that at work with the commissioners. We've got that process going to replace our dishwasher. So the 82,000 is not in this budget. We've already taken care of that. We're paying for that out of the commissary account.
Well, then
And the only thing that we got notified by the health department that apparently they got to approve the dishwasher. So I'm hoping we don't come back with some more stipulations on that and it's more than 82,000. But right now we're at
So you're
82.
paying it out of commissary?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because it was in the commissioner's budget, wasn't it?
The dishwasher.
Is it in the proposed commissioner's budget?
Thought it was. I may be mistaken. For some reason that number stuck in my head.
If it is, can we make a
We'll look
note
at
of
it.
that and go in and visit it when we get down to deliberations?
We went last week or the week before and we got approval for that dishwashing machine. Again, it's 18 years old. It's timed out. So on the total increase on the jail is 429,000. Big bump there in the medical contract of 4%. And then there's the jail, just other repairs just keep creeping up. And I know, George, you've always said you'd rather try to get us figured out to where we put it in our budget so we can avoid coming back. So we raised that line item by $45,000 so that we can hopefully keep on top of a lot of those repairs that comes up.
No, over the years we've moved the medical.
What's that?
We've shifted the risk of the medical way. We've shifted the risk of the food way. Is there anything else that's in line that could be or should be?
Well, we're at risk in everything we do.
Yeah.
And, yeah, we've got contracts on our medical, contracts on our services. However, we still have, I mean, there's always going to be risk. I think that everything is going fairly well. There is risk when you contract stuff out because they're not necessarily your employee. They're contracted through a company that come through there. And we do have sometimes, especially on the medical with keeping nurses and medical staff, it's not easy. We struggled with that when we were running. Now the company that we currently have, they still have turnover. So that's probably a work in progress every day. Medical in the jail is what keeps me awake every night because that is where probably our biggest liability and our risk is at. But I think we are much better off than where we used to be with our hours of coverage and everything that we currently have.
Thanks.
Let's go on to the next slide.
That 85,000 or 84,000, it was 85,000 and 25 seated money for the commissioners, but it was on 5 water softener replacements.
Okay.
So it was in there, but it was wrong
Okay.
here.
The jail rate adjustment, and I know, Mark, when you was sheriff, you struggle on the merit side with making sure that the pay between your ranks was adequate to be able to keep your super that you needed. We've obviously done very well in pay and getting things in check for corrections. However, the one thing that we have noticed, I've got a very good supervisor crew that I want to keep. And also in the jail, we need people that want to look at this as a career and want to stay for the long haul so that we can get them trained and get them seasoned so that they stay around. And then they obviously usually gravitate up into supervisory roles. So we've done some pay adjustments here for our sergeant, lieutenant, and our captain to try to get things. And if you look at your corrections officer between 56 and 68,000, right now, a sergeant is at 65. So you could have somebody in a supervisory role making less than those that they are supervising. And obviously they take on a big responsibility when they step into supervision. And 2 a.m. is just like 2 p.m. I mean, there's things that happen in the middle of the night that we're not there, and that sergeant that's there on third shift, they got to be there, they got to be competent, and they got to be able to, we got to have the right people in the job. So we're trying to do a pay adjustment to want to attract those that want to stay in the corrections field and that move up through the ranks into supervisory roles, and to basically compensate them appropriately for the responsibility that they take on every day when they show up to work. So where we're at, the base pay of the sergeant would go to 71, and then the lieutenant to 77.8, and then 83.5 for the captain. And then obviously there's a pay matrix that comes into play from 1 to 20 years on that. That's the base starting point of police. Experienced supervisors they're just as critical in the jail as they're out on the road. And I think this will be a big step for us to one, a lot of these young folks that get into corrections, it's their stepping stone to be police officers. They go on we hire them as merit deputies, they move to the city police, they go to the state police, or wherever they go. There's many uniformed officers out here patrolling the streets that started out in the jail. But we got to have so many of those that want to stick around, and that's where the path is. And this also will be, if somebody has been around for a few years and they may think twice about going and putting in for that police job when they already know what they're doing every day. They know what they expect every day. So they may just say, this is the route I want to be, and not necessarily lead us to move on someplace else. So really on the jail side, that's one of the bigger ask, I guess. It's about $73,000 is what it would cost overall to get that in sync and to get the supervisors compensated really where they deserve to be compensated. So on the jail, I think that's the highlights. Is there any questions, concerns on that?
Does your figure of 73,480 include their 2% pay increase? I'm just looking at the spreadsheet and it has 71,000 for pay adjustment, but maybe that's because the 2% is separate.
He would be going with 2% numbers instead of 1.5 on top of that.
Right. On my power on this is 2% numbers.
His is
Okay,
2%
okay,
numbers.
perfect. Okay. I'm good on jails, everyone.
I'm
Okay.
also good on the salary adjustment also.
For the,
I mean, we have been adjusting salary throughout the last 4 years. And we have been doing that little bit at a time, and it makes a lot of sense. Oh, I'm sorry. No, we've been adjusting salary throughout the years, and it makes a lot of sense to adjust the salary in the supervisory place, in the jail also. And it's something that I hope that you continue doing that throughout the entire department.
The other budgets, the courthouse budget, it's pretty much cut and dry. There's no changes there other than, on the pay side. Of the courthouse, 18,000, which that's figured out to 2%, so it'd be a little bit more than that. 2.5. But everything else is flat line in the courthouse.
And the courthouse staff has been steady? No turnover there?
No turnover, they've been really steady.
Perfect. Any follow-up questions for,
I know a couple years ago, you made the decision to outsource the nursing medical for the jail, because it just wasn't being taken care of timely, adequately. So how is that working now? How's that nursing contracting program working?
We've had our bumpy roads, and the biggest thing is some gaps when we didn't maybe have somebody there when they should have been there because they were short-staffed. And then, in the nursing field in general, there's always a lot of turnover there. So it seems like there's a lot of new faces. We monitor that very scrutinized. We met with other vendors this summer just to make sure that we're still tracking the direction that we need to be. We re-upped and stayed with our current provider, but every year we look at that, we look back and see what we're getting for what we're paying. That contract's over $1 million.
Mm-hmm.
That's a major part of the jail budget. But
So far you're content with how things are going. Everything can always be better, but
everything could always
you're
be
doing
better.
okay.
Do they share in liability if something would happen when they were supposed to staff and did not?
Well, I mean, they're there to make medical decisions.
Yeah.
So, that's a tough question to answer.
Okay.
There's a lot of variables, there's a lot of things that can come into play in all that. When you run a jail and the population that you have in a jail is not a healthy population in general. And, it's tough. We'll have a major drug issue like in this community, like we have every city and county across the country has. And you got people that are struggling with different dependencies and maybe not had the best healthy lifestyle. And then obviously when they come into our care, my responsibility as sheriff is the health and well-being of the inmate.
Thank you.
I have nothing
I don't
at this
either.
point.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you, council.
Very good. Thank you. Oh, we're behind. All right, Mariah, youth services and. Do you need a break?
I mean, I think we need to, thank you though.
2 minutes behind.
Roll. Can you hear me on this? No? Yeah, no, okay. All right, so first off, thank you guys for letting us come in today and discuss our budget with you. Our proposed budget for youth services is $1,973,238 total. There is an increase of $69,181 overall when compared to the 2026 budget. Those primary changes in the 2027 budget are personnel cost. We did establish a new holiday line item. There's an increase observed in food costs map. And we did make several reductions. We did see several reductions that we were able to make. We did submit a budget with the recommended 2% salary increase for those applicable personnel. None of the probation officers did receive a increase in pay in accordance with that salary schedule that's set by the state. We established a $76,656,000 line item for holiday pay. We did change our policy and we have started compensating our employees for holiday pay as opposed to those employees being provided with some time off. And I'll get to the explanation of that a little later because I do want to explain why we made those decisions. We did a 4% increase in our food cost. Whenever we were analyzing what we expected our commodity costs to increase, 4% was what we're seeing. We did complete a $33,000 reduction in our relief worker funding. I looked at our historical funding for the relief staff and I took 4 years of data and I adjusted it down to that 33,000. We also reduced down our training expenditures by $3,600. So we changed our holiday pay policy. So in 2014, this is how the budget was established. Holiday was paid out and our employees we had a separate line item for that. Overtime was paid separate and so was shift differential. This increases transparency and accountability. So if you guys have questions about how much we are spending in overtime, it is clearly able to be identified on how much overtime we're spending because currently that's being paid out of our overtime expenditure. So it's all combined. I think that there are other departments that have a similar situation too. I think community corrections is the same. So our policies are in alignment, community corrections and youth services with paying out our employees for that holiday time. It also, whenever we were doing an analysis on it, we projected that it would reduce our overtime expenditures by 20%. And the reason why is you give the employee the bank of the time off. So you have to pay them for the time off and then you have to pay somebody else to cover that. So you're paying the additional expenditure.
I'm confused. You gotta have somebody coverage anyway, so you're not paying somebody their schedule. The other county employees, they're on 24/7, so why the switch?
Because with us, we don't have the relief staff, so we can't not fill the shift. For other places, they might have multiple personnel working at the same time, but we have to maintain our standards for that. So when you don't have 2 staff working in secure detention, we still have to have the 1 staff there at all times.
You always schedule somebody to work.
Yes,
just
that is
like
accurate.
Other 24/7, so I'm trying to figure out what's the change, because we require other departments to take 15,
Transparency around holiday pay versus overtime pay. So
you split it out.
that's what they did.
Okay,
They just put it in 2 different line items.
but you're gonna be paying holiday pay now, where other departments, they don't pay the holiday. If they scheduled to work that day, that's what they work. They get 15 days off a year. Am I missing something?
Okay.
If you look at the spreadsheet, it shows, and she has stated in there, they will not be receiving the same benefits for holidays as all county employees. So they're not gonna get, like, we get 15 days a year.
Yeah.
They are not going to get those 15 days.
Because they have to work no matter what.
Right.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So,
That's no different than the deputies.
yeah, it is different.
Yes.
They get 15 days to use anytime throughout the year.
Whether they-
However,
Oh,
they don't get any additional pay
Okay,
for working on a holiday. They don't have holidays in those departments any longer.
help me understand, what is the difference between them and the people in 911 that they also have to work?
E911 is the same, any 24/7 operation has it that they get a bank of days equivalent to the days that us 8 to 5, 8 to 4 people
Okay.
get. So they don't have holidays. So if they work Christmas Day,
But they're getting
it's not a
paid.
holiday
They're getting
because they
even
have
that-
that bank of days to
okay.
take anytime throughout the year.
So they won't have the bank, they will just,
So they're not gonna give them the bank, they're only gonna pay them if they work.
okay.
So they're not getting the benefit
Missing
that
what you
all
were
county
saying.
employees.
Okay,
No.
I'll follow you
Yeah.
now.
I have an HR question.
Yeah.
Can we have different county employees receiving different benefits based
Well,
by department.
That's a commissioner question.
Let me ask your question in a different way, because I'm now starting to get confused between, are they employees of the court or they employees of the county?
County.
We are
Court?
so we fall under the policies of the courts, but we are county employees. So the county pays our salaries and those kinds of things, but we fall under the purview of the courts.
So the policy ought to, if you're a county
It's a
employee, the
court.
policy ought to be the policy of the commissioners.
But they're,
Court employees. We're court employees.
This was when the hours, this is going back to
Well-
when the hours at the courthouse.
yeah,
things
like
that.
we don't have jurisdiction, we just pay the bill.
You
On
pay the
them.
bill, so you can say no to their line item. You can say no, zero.
And I don't know how many were on the council. I know Mark and
That's what I'm
George, when we
confused.
made that switch from the jail, the sheriff, and one youth service center. Because we wanted every county employee to
Be
get
on
the
the same
same
thing,
benefit for
'cause-
holidays.
Correct.
So they took holiday pay away and gave everyone the bank
Of 15
days
days.
to
Yeah.
take.
Do the employees currently have the bank of 15 days?
Now, here's my, let me throw a question at it, because, and I was around when this decision was made then. And I want to throw this to the rest council members. How will we sit here if we approve this? 911 comes in, the sheriff comes in, asks the same thing,
Well, it's
I
I
cheap,
mean,
I'm
It's
agreeing
cheap.
with you.
yeah,
because they can't.
cheaper to do this?
It's cheaper, but it's not fair to the employees.
Right.
They're
I don't-
taking, not to just you guys, but anyone that's 24/7. If they take that from their employees, they're penalizing them for working the 24/7. They're not getting the same benefit as if they got those 15 days off.
So based by your argument, based on your argument, the same thing ought to apply to people from the sheriff, E911, and other people who are required to work. The IT people might be in the same boat. I don't know who,
I kind of am with you, George. I feel like if you have people in like roles and having to work holidays, we have to treat them the same.
I agree.
Now, I understand it being different than an office employee that is off every one of those holidays and it doesn't come into play.
No, you're
But-
talking 24/7
Yeah,
employees.
but if you're a 24/7 employee, I think if we make a change, it should be across the board. I am not an HR employee, so I'm also asking for feedback from the rest of the
Well,
group.
I was an HR person and I have to agree with you that you do not pay people differently, but you pay them similar for the same type of job required.
Yeah.
That they're supposed to do. If you're supposed to work 24/7, come in, which in essence, you do not have holidays, you, in a way, you would have to ask for time off.
Right.
Things like that. I think they ought to be paid, that the process of payment ought to be the same. And I understand what you're saying, Daleen, as far as penalizing the employee. And I agree with you that that's what they're suggesting is the right thing to do. However, if it's right for them to do, we need to do it right for everybody else who's in a similar situation.
And if I can
And
clarify.
and I don't know, I don't know that the other departments has thought through that process.
Well, Todd is online. He can explain how it would affect his people.
Who's on
Todd would.
that? Okay,
If he took that bank of holiday, scheduling wise, it's gonna make his schedule a lot easier. But he's gonna have all these employees that are no longer gonna get those days off. So if you want another department, you said you had clarification.
Yeah, so our employees are paid for that day off, and then they're also paid for the holiday too.
Right.
Okay.
They're just paid for the holiday, whether, if they're in the office, they're paid for working and they get holiday. pay.
I'm not disagreeing with what you're saying,
Mhm.
especially after Daleen explained it to us. That's not my issue. My issue is that if we accept your process, okay, we ought to be selecting the same process comparable to all the other employees in similar situations.
So my one concern with this is they're court employees.
We are,
So we
yes.
don't have jurisdiction over they're coming in as court employees saying this is what they want, where Noblet can speak for his employees. They may not want the pay. They may want the 15 days off because they're county overseeing. So it's sort of like when the court decided to close the courthouse at 4, we couldn't tell them no. Like if this
However,
is what they want,
if they're court employees, I got an issue with this thing. They may be court employees. I understand that we went through that thing. So in essence, why even bother with going through a budget process with them? Let the judge come over here and tell us I need so much money for this thing because they're my employees and that's what I want to pay, and that's what I want to do. That somehow, if we have a fiscal responsibility for the county, okay, we ought to be able to have a say, you know,
I don't disagree with you. I'm
in
just,
that process. And basically the law is saying something
Mine
different,
is.
and I don't understand how the two, how do we merge the two?
well, in the way I'm looking at this, and maybe I'm too black and white on this, like, we're sort of paying them the holiday pay already, but we're calling it overtime.
However, I question the youth service center did not exist at one point in time. It was not a court employee. We added the youth service center years ago. It was not under they put it under the umbrella of supervision by the court, but I don't know. I would question whether they're really court employees or not. I would like to have some sort of a ruling because I'm not sure that they are. No different than the correctional officers. You know, what makes all the people who respond to the judges, are they court employees? And if that is the case, then where does our fiscal responsibility to the county is? Because they can dictate whatever policy and we just have to pay for it. And that doesn't sound right to me.
Well, this is a state it's state mandated. I hear you. I just don't know if
Yeah,
we have
but
any jurisdiction.
somehow the state is contradictory.
So, well, in some format, if it's state mandated, then all state mandated employees should be treated the same and all county
Yes.
employees should be
Yeah.
treated the same. And we have a case now that we know of that there are two discrepancies. And whatever we do, I do think needs to be consistent across the board.
So this,
Well,
if I can.
Absolutely.
you know,
So the
the court,
reason, one of the
court
big drivers.
dictated, for example, that they were establishing their own hours. And then the commissioners went ahead and they said those hours is extended to all the county employees. So if that is the case, back to your logic and mine, if the courts dictate that this is what they need to be paid and all that, we need to say everybody in the county, just in the same way that we change the hours, you know, ought to be paid.
I think we need to make sure that's what our county employees want, like.
Yeah.
And maybe you'll explain this. We're already sort of doing this. She's just being transparent now in the budget. Like, we're already doing this. It's just all coming out of the same bucket. So she separated it out for transparency reasons.
Yes.
This isn't actually a change. It's just more transparent for us now.
Well,
But they don't get the bank of days.
No.
We've never gotten them.
And they have, we made
We
that
did,
change
oh,
last
okay.
year
I thought you said
because
they
of our
didn't.
overtime costs.
Okay,
We were trying to do this to be fiscally responsible and reduce our overtime budget, because when we were using the PTO, the bank of days,
yeah.
our overtime costs were higher.
And if I can speak a little bit more regarding
Yes.
county employees. So our employees, we do a lot of assessments at the Youth Services Center. One of those was a conditions of confinement assessment, and it talked about staff satisfaction. One of the things that our staff said in their satisfaction whenever they were interviewed was they wanted a change in the compensation and the way that it was structured, because we have so much time off that we don't have the relief available to give those staff that time off. So it wasn't truly a benefit to the employees. Whenever they have these caps on the banks of, like, your vacation time is 144, your PTO, you have to use it or you lose it by March 31st is what the policy was. So our employees weren't able to use that time within the time frame. So it wasn't a benefit that they could actually access and utilize, because we just didn't have the staff to be able to do that. This policy change got us in alignment with what was already established for for community corrections. So it got everybody under the umbrella of court services in the same policy alignment, And it also did take in the feedback that was provided by our staff in that conditions of confinement assessment. It's not something that we did flippantly. It's something that we did very thoughtfully. It did benefit us fiscally as well. I will say that at the outset of it. Yes, absolutely, it benefited us. But our county employees also benefit from it because they were frustrated that they had this PTO time that they weren't able to access. We weren't able to provide the relief for it. We were mandating people to work. It wasn't fair for them. Benefits are only as beneficial for the employees as they are accessible, and it wasn't.
Okay, two things. I don't think we can award PTO and not let them take it at some point if it's use it or lose it.
I'm sorry, Kim, I cannot hear you.
I said, I don't think we can award PTO if we don't let them use it. If it's a case of if you don't use it, you lose it. Because if we tell employees they can't use it and they're losing it,
But
then
it's
it
against
is
the
not a
federal law.
benefit. Secondly, under the court services umbrella, I'm not the expert, but I'm pretty sure our court is not open on major holidays,
They're not.
But
but they are.
they have to be available.
They have to be available. So what I'm saying though is whatever we put in place does have to be treating like-minded, not like-minded, but like
Roles.
roles in terms of requirements of working.
No different than the people that work for Brad Barnes in the jail.
But their policy was this, and that's why we transitioned to
Is
this.
Brad, I thought Brad was here.
Yeah.
Is, Brad, how do you pay your people as far as the overtime that work in the jail?
The work in community corrections,
Yes,
well, they're paid, holiday pay. So basically overtime, double time for the holiday that they're working.
so is the policy different or similar to hers?
So it's the
Same as what
same.
she's
She's
proposing.
just pulling it out into a new line item so we
Okay.
can see it. That's all she did.
Okay.
We called it overtime. She's now saying this is what the holidays cost us for, it's the same policies, unless I'm misunderstanding this.
They're losing their bank of the hours,
Yes.
but they were not allowing them to have them.
Correct.
It wasn't that we weren't allowed, we were doing everything we possibly could to get them that time.
No, I understand that, but
Yeah.
I'm saying if you have to decline it, you have to staff.
Yes, yeah.
So it's not really a change, it's just more transparent now.
Okay, I don't have an issue with what they're trying to do. I do have an issue of how we treat our employees in total. They are not our employees. But the county employees are our employees, and if we're making a payment to them that is different than how we treat our
But
employees.
other county employees don't work the major holidays. We're
Well,
closed.
and like the,
I'm talking about, for example, the E911, and we need to understand how they
I
get
think
paid.
they're taking care of the way they want to be taken care of, and it's through over to, like,
I do think we need to evaluate
Yeah.
whether we have exposure as a county, having different departments with different rules.
I don't know if we have, I don't know how the rules work, because I don't read our manual because that's on the commissioners.
That's correct.
That's not our role.
No.
Right. But,
It's not-
but if we have departments that are not, if we have a manual that says this is what the county gets and we have departments that are not.
I think they're following the county. What they're doing is just being more transparent about where the pay is coming from. Like, we're doing the same thing as Brad.
But we're still not letting them bank hours, correct? There is a change. There is a change.
They're giving them a paid benefit because she can't give them the time off.
We were not, yeah, we struggled, yes.
So that's why she's trying to be more transparent.
I understand, and I agree with it. I'm just saying we have to do it across the board.
So we are across the board within the community, within the
Within the
courts.
organization,
Within the
branch,
courts, they're
Yes.
all doing the same thing.
But you weren't
County
before.
We were not, we were in contradiction.
Now
So
they're the
we follow
same.
county policy. We are under the umbrella of court services, did not make any sense at all. So we moved in alignment with with court services and youth services to be under the same policy.
That raises another question. Do you have maternity leave
We do, yes,
and paternity leave also?
yes.
I think this raises the question of how many discrepancies do we have across the board?
I think it's valid. I think commissioners need to examine it.
Can we move on?
Yeah.
Please.
Because I'm trying to figure this out, because the same token, I go back to the theory is, if what's good for one department may not be good for another department. We need to look at it individually. And back then, we were so scattered, when we changed it, we tried to get one umbrella. Sometimes.
Equal doesn't,
Yes,
equal
and
and fair are
you're-
two different
you're
things,
right.
right, Lee, when we
Yes.
get into
You're
agriculture.
right, Brad.
so-
Yes,
Mark,
yes.
you're right.
Different
However, we
ballgame.
need to treat, from a pay point of view, it has to be as equal as possible.
And also.
Yeah, but it's not us.
Got to respect the,
Yeah, that's
the leaders of those department, what's best for the department, not, sometimes it may not be best for the employee, but best for the department. I hate to say that, but sometimes you got to have people working and it's hard choices. So
Yes.
I'm seeing the big picture now.
I don't think your concern is wrong. I just don't know what
Yeah, I think.
We don't
consensus-
have-
Do we literally lose our holidays? I'm gonna lose my mind.
what?
Who's that?
Who's that?
Everybody's losing their mind.
Somebody did an accident, I think.
I
like.
Are you losing control back there?
We had somebody named Courtney that,
I think we just got some
They
feedback
left
from
the
an
meeting.
employee in another department.
Yeah, that was Stacy.
I say consensus is, move.
All right. Moving along. That pretty much actually sums it up. That's the same, that's concluding of it. We've incorporated the direct personnel costs, our known expenses and operational costs. We've identified deductions where we could. My goal today was increased transparency and accountability, especially as it relates to that overtime expenditure, because I know that that has been a concern and it's our concern too.
And I see that you're already way over on 2026 expenditure in overtime.
Yes.
Is your budget able to absorb?
Yes, we do have some open positions, so we just moved from those open positions that are available within the 100 series
Mhm.
to
I'm just
take
making-
into account that.
I'm just making sure.
Yes, I do not anticipate being back here.
Okay.
To request any additional appropriations, but that's also why we're not requesting a deduction anywhere else.
Okay, makes sense. Any other questions? Right, appreciate you both, Mariah and Brett.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, let's take a quick 5-minute bio break. And we'll let Brad come prepare.
All the above. I wanted to start out just introducing some of the folks that are with us here today. Nicole's going to sit up here with me, Nicole Phillips. She's the Assistant Chief Probation Officer for Juvenile Services, Youth Services. And Kim Moss is back here. Kim is our Assistant Chief Probation Officer for Adult Services. Kim also is taking the lead on our pretrial, certified pretrial program. It's been around now for a few years. Stacy Harry, who is the Director of Community Corrections, is here today. And I think you've already met Mariah and Brett. So, yeah. But I also wanted to have a shout out to some folks that have been working with us, Michael and Kim and Marcus, for some works going back to earlier this year. And I think they've been communicating with you all. Also want to thank Mark for all of his work over the years with our Community Corrections Advisory Board. And he's a great support to be there, whether or not we get what we want or not. Mark is always there to support our efforts. So appreciate each of the council very much, but I wanted to highlight folks who have been working with us the last few months. I know I talked to Daleen earlier today, and we have a ton of budgets that are still pending. So we have Indiana Office of Court Service budgets that are for problem solving courts, or Kim has one for her program with regard to the pretrial. But I think that those are all going to be decided within the next few weeks, but they're all still pending. And I think that we just don't have an idea of what we're going to be awarded in those. In the county budget, we asked for a very slight increase just based on what we were given as the parameters. And it also is based on what we have some folks in the probation officer salary schedules that are moving up the schedule. The schedule itself was frozen for 2026, and it is also frozen for 2027. So unless you're a probation officer making your way up through the ranks and you hit one of the bumps in pay, there is no increase in salary for those employees next year. But we do have a couple employees that are hitting those bumps. So basically our county general fund is really just a little higher than it was for this year. According to my notes here, we had an increase of just about $43,000 in our 2027 request. So it's very slight request. Our user fee accounts, we tried to keep it a minimum for the adult probation user fee account and for the adult or A&D program user fee account. We tried to keep those at a minimum amount. Those are user fee funds that are collected from participants. So that was pretty much about the same in those funds as well. And then it really boils down to some of the other funds that we operate. The one is the ASAP Realm Fund. And I know that's the co-op fund with the city-county split. We basically put in just the increase we were advised to put in, 2% for the employees, and then left everything basically the same. We did put in insurance at the highest rate that we could come up with for family, but we have 2 long-term employees that don't plan to leave soon, who have already raised families, and neither one need that. So they both have individual single coverage. So that request, which will come before you at some point, is going to be in good shape as well. That leaves us basically with community corrections. Community corrections, as the council should know, received another reduction in funding for 2027. The state cut our operation in the amount of $234,000. They'd already cut our funding in over $100,000 for this year. And what we were able to do is we got together the last few months in conjunction with meeting with some of the council members. And we looked at what could we absorb, what could we take into other revenue areas within court services, how could we pick up some of this within project income, which is what we call our user fee account for community corrections. And when we looked at all that, we decided that we could come up with a fairly aggressive project income budget that, although we're not sure we can meet it, there's a lot of factors that will impact that going into 2027. We felt like it was one in which we would be able to, with the right numbers and the right folks coming into the program, be able to sustain it until we hear from the state if there's going to be any kind of relief for the 2028 budget, which we've been told that there are lots of discussions going at state level to talk about how to refund some of the cuts that were made with community corrections. Some of the bigger counties, Lake County, I think, suffered $1 million cut to their community corrections. Some of the counties suffered total annihilation of their funding for problem-solving courts. They were receiving money from the DOC for their problem-solving courts, and they were zeroed out. Kim had that same experience with our pretrial services for this year. We didn't have funding from the DOC, but the Indiana Office of Court Services came in and picked it up. So the one thing that I wanted to focus on is a document we put together. Nicole and myself, Colleen, in our office, and work with Michael on this, as well as Kim and Marcus. And we'd like to go through it. Paul's going to take the lead on it and then answer any questions you might have, or talk about any other issues you might have with our 2027 budget.
So Michael had asked us to put together a document that showed everything paid out of state grants, everything paid out of user fees, and everything paid out of county general. And so I took all of our budgets combined, put them in, and tried to capture where everything was getting paid out of. So this is for 2026. So out of our total budget for salaries and wages, 3.6 million. Of the salaries and wages, 1.7 million this year was paid out of state grants. 968,000 was paid out of user fees, and 973,000 was paid out of county general. Same for insurance, total 1.2 million, divvied up, state grant, user fees, county general. Where our biggest hit is this year with those DOC cuts is our insurance. So when you look at 2027 summary, you will see this, the total for county general go up to about 2.2 million. It's about $170,000 increase, and that is in the insurance line item primarily. Again, in 2026, out of county general was 997,262 for insurance. This year it is 1.1 million. Because we don't have the funds in that DOC grant to cover insurance for those employees. Overall budget increase, 5.4 million last year, 5.5 million, well, almost 5.6 million this year. This is 2027.
As you all know, the insurance issue, this is the third year in which you've given us a reprieve, trying to figure out how we would pay the employer share of county insurance for our employees, because it had become unmanageable 3 years ago. And it hasn't obviously gotten better with the significant reduction in funding. There's no way we can come close to meeting the expectation, the requirement we would have if you had not picked up funding. What it has allowed us to do is to continue to pay for the other operational expenses, salary, benefits, operational expenses. We also have a budget that is still just under 1.1 million. So the state is still giving us for 2027 significant funding to operate community corrections. And with the operation we currently have under Stacy's leadership, we believe we have a base in place that should provide us with good revenue with project income for 2027 as well.
Okay. This is a Daleen question, and I see you're busy doing math. I know we were sort of like paying people out of like 3 pots, 4 pots, 5 pots. Have we cleaned that up? So that way paying people is maybe a little simpler?
I'm not real sure who all we were paying out of that many pots.
I think it's these three.
It was,
I think
that's where I'm like,
Yeah,
We still have some that overtime is paid from one, but overall the process has.
cleaned it.
improved.
Okay,
Yes.
perfect. Because I know we were trying to like use a little bit from here and a little bit from here to try to make someone whole, where I was like, can we just like,
Well, one of the things that we run into is if we have some turnover, and the
Yeah.
turnover positions are in the state grant,
mhm,
and we might go 2-3 months without having that position filled. And then that's 2-3 months worth of income or
Right.
funding that we have available. We get down toward the end
You
of the
can
year,
take
we
from
want to
it.
use that money.
Absolutely.
And someone that's being paid out of project income, if we can move them over
Yeah,
and have them paid out of this other funding, I think that's where we've shuffled some folks
Yeah,
around.
the overall process, communications between those doing the books on their side and with our payroll has gotten better. So we're able to get it switched in the system where we're not having so many corrections as far as they were paid out of the wrong fund because
Yep.
it's a process getting it
Yep.
changed in the system.
Nope.
But I think Colleen and Brandy are working hand in hand on that quite a bit. So
It's improved.
yeah.
perfect.
I mean, it's still a project, but it's.
No,
improved.
I mean, this is complicated.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
It is, but it has improved, yes.
Okay, perfect.
We're thankful for Brandon for all the help that we're getting with that, because I would also agree, Daleen, we'd see it as being much better this year. This year has been a good year. There's been a couple things we caught on our end that should not have been in place that we had to correct.
Yep.
Or we were gonna be in trouble with the budget, and those errors happen. But we appreciate the support and expertise we're getting, help from the auditor's office.
And we can improve for next year. Like things
Always.
that happen, we're like, okay, well, now we know we can put this in place
Always.
for when things happen next year, so.
Kim, Marcus, Mike, anything you want to add from the work you guys have been doing with them?
no. I mean, I found the time well spent. They put a lot of time and a lot of work into it. The brief amount of time we have here makes it a little difficult, but when you spend the time to kind of dive into the weeds a little bit, it really made perfect sense. I'll let you speak for yourself. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, we spent 2+ hours over
Mhm.
there, and Brad and Nicole were very detailed as to how things operated, who was paid out of what type of funding. And I think this shows,
Clearly.
these two schedules from 26 and 27 really show now what the county's responsibility is for this.
Mhm.
And when I look at it, the county's responsibility because of these health insurance issues is shifting by $170,000 higher.
Yep.
Overall, the budget's it's changing 165,000, only 3%, which is not out of line, not really that big of a
Right.
questionable overall expense increase.
Yeah.
It's just this shift piece.
Yep.
But for me, I'm a lot more comfortable. Last year, my head was swimming
Yeah.
when Brad's presentation came, because I could not understand who was paying for what and what the total dollars were.
Yeah, I love this.
And
And
this really helps.
And some employees are doing dual roles, like under their role umbrella. But this function is paid from a grant, this function is not.
Right.
So it may feel like we're supplementing or whatever, but it's because they've been able to consolidate some roles and things or job functions under
Yeah.
individual roles.
We were reminded that not every position's been filled because trying to, cost savings, and reminded that this is not ongoing issue, but that this department and programming is very essential to helping keep our jail depopulated instead of populated. So it's very important to always remember that the expense may seem high, but it can be very worthwhile when you factor in what can happen down the road if we don't spend the time to work with these individuals at this time.
And it's fluid.
So Brad, I'd like to give you 2 or 3 minutes to talk about your staff and your success.
Well, I think that the kind of highlights when it comes to our staff and our success is our retention. And I think one thing that comes back to me is years ago, when I had the opportunity to become the director, I also had the opportunity to have great people that supported what we were trying to do, come alongside us. And Kim and Nicole are 2 of those that have been here the longest, and of course Stacy as well. And then Mariah and Brett, some of the folks at the Youth Service Center came on board later. But I think the biggest thing is we heard people say, you can't keep staff, you can't keep anybody there. No one wants to stay there. And it's because, job satisfaction, right? I mean, if you're not going to stay somewhere, it's either be because you got a great offer somewhere else, or where you're at just sucks. And we got tired of just sucking. And I think that what happened was we were able to turn a culture. The judges obviously have a key role in this. And we were able to turn kind of the boat around, if you will, back in about 2020. And since that date, we have been able to retain staff, probation officers at a fairly high rate. And I think we're seeing that now start to build with Stacy and the work she's doing in the corrections. That we have programs, Michael, that, have been around for a few years. The RAP program is one of them, Women Recovering with a Purpose. And that program has folks in it that for 20, 30 years have been in revolving door within our system. And most of it is related to substance use disorder and just lots of poor choices. Mark probably it'd be a who's who of past clients if we start naming names. But the work we see in that program has been life-changing. We have an employee that is a graduate of that program. And she's been with us now, how many years? How many years she's been with us?
I believe 6, 8.
6 years. She was out of the program over 5 years before we ever allowed her to even apply for a job. That's one success story. She's in the actual program, was in the actual program that she was a participant of a few years back. We also have had participants come through that we would have said, you'd never see that person succeed in anything because they've never succeeded in anything. One of them was a kid that when he was a teenager broke out of Mariah's detention cell or something and was able to run around like Keystone Cops, entertaining himself for a few minutes where they found him. And now he's probably in his 30s, early 40s, and he just graduated the Realm program this year. And the first thing he said to me when I congratulated him was, this is the first thing I've ever succeeded in my life. And he's still succeeding. And we're hopeful he'll continue with that. But I think the successes, you can pull these out all day long with any of the problem-solving courts, with alcohol and drug program, juvenile services. You can come up with these all day long. But our staff are the reason these folks are successful. We have a pretty unique staff. Stacy just, I think, hired the last open position we had in residential. And we're pretty excited about the staff that we currently have on board with the residential program as well. So I hope that helped answer.
Yeah, thank you.
You have your veterans ceremony coming up.
We do. We have veterans for graduation next Thursday at 1300, 1 o'clock, 1 p.m. At Superior Court 1. I think there's 5 veterans who will be recognized who have graduated in the last year. And if you're able to come, there will be a cake and punch paid for by the participants. We use our user fees to pay for those refreshments.
Good work.
Any other questions? This has been great.
At some point, Brad, I'd love to know, start all the grant monies we received over the years. You know, we've talked the last 5 or 6 years about grants being cut and us picking up our own share. We lose sight how all the seed money started, where it came from, what it helped the community get where we're at now. And I hate to say it, it's finally, I mean, it's our community's problem, and we need to take care, we need to have skin in the game, and we're starting to have to pay a little bit more through the health insurance and other things that historically the state of grant money's picked up. So, I mean, it's evolved over time that we're seeing these increases plus our share of the pie to pay for.
I think we started to compile that a few years ago, Mark, and it was staggering when you looked at the DOC grant alone, how much money they had given us. This is the 40th year that we've received money from the state of Indiana for community corrections. So we celebrate that here the next month. Just get together and tell staff, good job, 40 years, 40 more to go. But I think that you're right. I think that as we look back on how much we've received in support, we hopefully have invested it well. And the county giving us Community Corrections Center, Court Services Center now, and the new, whatever it's going to be called.
New name.
Yeah, I think are just encouragements to us that you all support us, that you all are here to be our partner, and we appreciate it.
Right.
Good.
I think we're good.
Thank you.
I appreciate all the work you've put in. All right, ASAP. Megan.
Okay. So I'm here today on behalf of the ASAP budget of the public funding that's split between city and county, as well as the jail program budget from the county on behalf of the sheriff that we manage the contract for. I had given a PowerPoint to Daleen. I don't know if she was able to distribute that, which was just really kind of an update on ASAP and what we do, because it's really changed over the years. So just really wanting to highlight, getting back to, the main pillars of what we do. We do have the SAMHSA grants that we work with prevention, and we are helping with the problem solving courts through those grants. We were able to secure the transportation grant for another 2 years with matching opioid settlement funds. That's been a huge resource to the community, especially for those in rural areas, but we really try to highlight service to the problem solving force so we can make sure that transportation isn't an issue for those folks. And then in addition, we've started a new initiative this year around jail reentry. So since we oversee the contract for QCC with the substance abuse treatment piece inside the jail, they have a really solid program, and they're working with, the problem solving courts as well. But what we wanted to do is think about what happens when they leave, what happens when they're released. And so we've kind of been working with the jail treatment team and various stakeholders and providers in the community to come together and to form a reentry team, so that we can kind of help folks when they're leaving the jail, get the resources and navigation that they need, hopefully to have some results in reduced recidivism, reduce overdose rates. We're going to be investing in the next year around more data collection, so we can have some more stories to tell about not only what we're doing, but what partners are doing and what that impact looks like. So for the budget piece of things, for the ASAP operations budget, we did ask for a slight increase of 25,000, which is still below the amount that we have gotten in previous years. We had decreased the budget last year, and we've been able to successfully maneuver things around for several years with the SAMHSA federal funding that we have. We did have a little bit of a scare earlier this spring. Everybody that have SAMHSA funding, we got an email one morning that said your grants are ended effective today. So a lot of us panicked and tried to figure out what we were going to do. And then about 48 hours later, we got an email saying we're rescinding that. Your your grants are reinstated. So a lot of us in that service line of mental health and substance abuse were really alarmed, because we have a lot of salaries and programs around those funds. So with that uncertainty, the increased work that we're really hoping to do around jail reentry, and the increased work that we're doing with the opioid settlement fund coordination, we just asked to increase that just by the 25,000. And then for the jail program budget, it decreased a little bit by $1,526. I just made it a square amount for that.
Questions for Megan? The PowerPoint was great, so thanks for sharing.
I don't have any.
All right. Well, thank you for coming and presenting, and we look forward to seeing you soon, asking for
One more thing.
appropriation.
I think I needed to bring up if we needed to officially add in any piece for the appropriation for the 600,000 for 2027 for the opioid settlement funds. We had talked about whether we needed to do that as a part of this hearing process or not. So I just wanted to double check if that was
We need to
something.
budget for that, or do we, okay. So you just have to give us, like, let's say you want to appropriate it at our March meeting, let us know in February so we can publicize it, and then we'll do it.
Okay.
Perfect. Thank you so much. All right. Auditor and county
Auditor.
council.
Excellent. Okay, so the biggest thing, and we have placed a manifesto, memo, whatever you want to
Yeah.
call it, in your drive. And so basically, we have someone that's retiring, and we would ask that in lieu of replacing that position, we increase by $5,000 the salaries for our finance director, accounts payable, and payroll administrator. As we mentioned yesterday, this comes at the history of the auditor's office giving up positions, consolidating responsibilities, and asking existing employees to assume additional duties. We basically given up 3 positions over time, including this one. And we haven't really quantified what the dollar amount of the previous 2 salary, reductions have been. But just this one itself will be $37,000 in annual salary savings. When you add on a perf and FICA and health insurance, probably upwards of 60,000. So I would just ask that council approve this. There's some things that have been really, that have occurred over time that have enabled us to be able to do this. One is everybody in the office, except for one person in the accounting department, has worked in deductions. And that is, I used to work in deductions, Daleen used to work in deductions, Vicky used to work in deductions. So, Laura used to work in deductions. So push comes to shove, if I had to do a homestead deduction, I'd be able to do it. I mean, I'd probably screw it up, but I'd be able to do it. So that's helped things, but also the accounting department specifically touches every single department in county government. And as we just heard from a department that's pretty complicated, I mean, the director of finance has to understand that with the grants that go into the CFA. And this year, our State Board of Accounts audit, they were like, your CFA was one of the best that we've ever seen. And so Carolyn and Laura, they almost pulled a muscle, patting themselves on the back, as well as they should have. But, Brandy is also trying to navigate, which piece goes which on the payroll and working to try to streamline that process, et cetera. So kudos to everybody in the accounting department for helping through some of this. And, I think you guys see how much better our process is now than it was 8 years ago. or
Well, even
7
4
years
years ago.
or the first year that we took off.
Well, even 4 years ago,
Yeah.
like going through this process and being able to see these sheets the way they are versus how I was struggling through my first year, like this is a dream.
Well, that huge complicated ass spreadsheet.
Yes.
That, you know, it should have been setting off sirens because I'm sure there were all kinds of, little gremlins in it.
Yeah.
And, so this is just,
I also appreciate that you all have thought differently. Like George brought that up yesterday. How do we get departments to think differently? This is thinking differently. How do we take what the second deputy was doing and spread it over employees and upskill those employees?
yeah. I mean, we've had some things that have kind of, cards have fallen in our favor. We don't have a mortgage deduction anymore.
Right. That helps.
So that does help. But, the complexities of accounting just continue to increase. So that's the bulk. I think we might have, cut the office expense line by $100 because I won't be losing blue pens. I don't know what else is, frankly, I don't know what else is in there.
Last year, because there will be a new auditor, so we needed for the end of this year's budget to have
Oh, transition.
yes, the letterhead, the stamps and so forth. So we backed it out of 27's budget so that to reflect that.
And the short of it, Pia, the bottom line is what you're doing is excellent. You're going out of office, doing something right. And I see it because we're, as a council, already know what Jay Fred's going to come in and need a new employee. And you're actually doing something to help the county by streamlining a little bit there. Otherwise, you could have just rode your last 3 months out and we're adding a new employee because Jay Fred will need one and we're going to get the funding. And it's sort of like, I applaud you for that because I can see how you're doing it and why you're doing it.
Well, we're trying to tee it up for the next person so that they can really knock it out of the park and start fresh. So, and hopefully, the next few months are pretty smooth sailing.
Yep.
And, these guys don't need me much anymore, which is good.
They're ready.
They're ready
When
to see my happy ass.
When you
gone.
walk out, they're ready to take over. Okay, so
You can strike that from the minutes, Brandon.
Make sure you spell that right.
Based on what's approved.
Happy, HAPPY. And then on the council budget, it's pretty much straightforward as otherwise. We had, some people call it a stakeholder, I call it a placeholder of the $1 million. You change your revenue thing, that can change pretty quick, you pull that pretty quickly. Obviously earlier today, we talked about some different methods that you can go about with the supplemental, et cetera. The information that Michael gave us earlier, damn DLGF. I mean, it's driven me crazy for many, many years, probably even before I became auditor, as to how they want to be so conservative. But I find that to be ridiculous because then government isn't able to plan appropriately on a reasonable estimate of what the revenues are. And I think that is a disservice by the state government, by the DLGF to local governments.
Got that soapbox going.
There you go. That's it. I'm done.
not efficient, that's for sure.
Go ahead.
Got any questions?
Yeah. Any questions?
Ask them.
On the,
The revenue
Pia, do
number?
you want to update them on the revenues?
Yeah, let's see if I still have that I can share.
Madam President,
Yes.
could I speak?
Yeah, come on up.
Well, you're speaking to my budget?
No, not about your budget. I already did that. How many years ago?
Many, recently.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah.
No, elected, official training fund.
Oh, right.
They have recently, I don't know when it was, that they did add, training for county council, within that elected official training fund. And so I thought it would be pertinent for this council to maybe look at adding funds for that,
so that you can attend some of the Association of Indiana Counties Institute classes that they provide. And then also, I think recently they are talking, I just went to the AIC board meeting last week, and it might be brought up again in regards to mandatory training for council members and also possibly commissioners, but right now they're really focusing on county council. So it might be in your best interest to, you know, put some money in there, and that is allowable now within that elected official. They had previously, it was only the ones that, if you would bring that up again, Aileen, and show them it's only specific
We can't,
elected officials that are
It's in your
that
packet.
fund can-
It's on the auditor's.
It's in your packet. I mean, if you want to, we can change that. It's pretty easy. I mean, it doesn't even come out of county general.
No,
It comes out of a,
perpetuation
Yeah.
fund from the recorder's perpetuation fund. The funding comes out of there, and they typically it's 5,000 that you put in there to utilize. I think it's the recorder, the auditor, the treasurer.
I don't know if the assessor's in there
The
yet.
clerk-
clerk.
The assessor is not,
It's
because they
recorder,
have their own
treasurer,
funding.
Auditor, clerk,
Surveyor,
and
it is a surveyor. Yeah, but they have included, and I emailed, I think, the statute that does allow for the county council to receive monies in that fund. So that's all I have. Thank
Thanks
you.
for the
Since
update.
Barb's here, and since we're gonna talk about revenue, do you want to ask her about that calculation for the earnings on investment?
Oh, yeah. Or did you
That was
guys
for
pull,
26, what you wanted, wasn't it?
how much income we've had for 26 on?
so we know that for 25, we brought in
It was like
3,882,859.
3.8.
Now-
The year before, it was like 3.9, almost 4. And then last year it was almost 3.9, so very close. And so my estimate, I think I told him
3.6.
the 2026, was that an estimate that I'd given you?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think I thought, you know, at the time, it looked like it was going, you know, interest rates were going down, so I wanted to be very conservative. But it's probably going to be closer to I'm gonna say 3.7.
This year.
So this year, it's probably, and it might even be a little bit higher, but that's my estimate. Yeah, and that's for, you know, because we do invest total monies.
Yeah.
But then at the end of the day, county general doesn't get all of that.
No,
Because
right,
it does
right.
go into.
Whatever account it
health,
came from.
Highway, you know, drains, that we have specific funds that they want their interest. So that's,
I don't blame them.
Go figure.
yes, yeah.
I'd want it too.
Yeah, so in the health, I think,
'Cause you
we
put
did-
three-
the Health First was one that, this is all, you know, Board of Finance meets, statutorily, they have to meet at least once a year, and that's in the last, in January, I'll just say January.
Perfect.
So, yeah, but we're doing, the interest has been very stable. The interest, that I've been receiving from the banks has been very, you know, pretty stable these last, you know, few months. I, you know, check that every month. So, yeah.
Yeah, and the feds
Look at
haven't
that and
changed it.
just, you know, make any adjustments to where I'm keeping it and moving it or whatever. So
Kim,
keep
do
a good
you,
tab on it.
do you anticipate any major changes in the banking biz?
They were estimating an increase in the Fed rate. They held last time.
Right.
So I've stopped pretending I have a crystal ball.
Well, with
Um,
inflation doing weird things.
Yeah, so I mean, every time we anticipate, previously what we anticipated they delivered on, this is the most recent was the one that we anticipated and recently didn't get. So I kind of expect them to hold for a little bit. I think
Okay.
the next one, they probably will be forced to, but Mike, what do you think?
Yeah, I don't see any more than a quarter to a half
Yeah.
point all the
Right,
way
right,
through
right.
next year.
Yeah,
Okay,
Max.
okay,
Going up,
right,
which then would help us a little bit
yeah.
theoretically. But I don't see anything drastic happening and
no.
Okay,
unless the world catches more fire.
right,
Or water.
or water.
Or water. Right. right.
Isn't that the
So,
truth?
So I think, interest is, the investment is being looked at really closely and managed, I think, quite well. So hopefully, and I think,
Perfect.
we've done well and hope to continue. Brings in just that extra little bit to maybe help with certain things. So,
Totally agree.
okay. So
Awesome.
Does that answer your
Yeah,
questions? Okay.
It does. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Barb. Anything else?
So you asked me about the revenue and the information that Michael gave me
Yes.
that Mickey could find. So I've added in the 27 from the state
What?
line item here. Yeah, I mean, that's why I lose my shit. Because the DLGF is like, I mean, it's about 95% of what our 26 plus supplemental was. So it's like, our incomes here in Bartholomew County are not going down. Now in Ripley County, maybe they
Maybe.
are. So, and that's where the DLGF, they have the information. They can give us better information. It's bullshit that they don't. Totally. But they do the same thing for everybody. Cause they say they don't have enough staff. Well, maybe they need to use artificial intelligence. Then there'd be some intelligence. But, anyway, so that's the shit they gave us. Which
Yeah, I don't
which
think
is
that's,
lower.
yeah, I don't think that's the right number to
Yeah.
plug in.
Corner.
Right, so, but we can budget whatever and on the lit line,
Yeah,
and if it's lower, we would know that then we're taking some out of our reserves.
yeah.
But this is ludicrous. And by putting this number in, the DLGF is asking us or telling us to pay our employees less,
Agree.
which I think is irresponsible.
Got it.
So
What's their logic?
they're idiots. That's their logic. It's gotta be it. There is no logic.
They just want to be conservative so people don't go over budget and they get in trouble. That's what I think they're doing. I don't know.
I mean, and, you know, the guys from Reedy will probably say, they have clients that need to do this.
Yeah.
They have clients, other counties, that probably are in a situation that this would be aggressive because their incomes are going down. They're losing population, their incomes are going down, they're feeling the effects of the state actions, et cetera, et cetera. We're not in that situation.
Mm-mm.
I mean, you know, Cummins is making, you know, is doing fine.
Well, and they're building more houses up
We're building more houses, yeah.
And
I mean,
and apartments.
So-
and,
Yeah.
and our assessed value is rising and, you know, blah, blah, blah.
So this certified number of 14,000,008. Come next year, they'll distribute this, but we also get some supplemental holdback that they always play with.
So this is what, so for the certified shares at 14.8 million, they'll divide that by 12, and they'll send us that every month.
Every month.
Every
right?
month in next year. And that will put in that certified share amount, we'll put in the general fund.
But don't we also
But
get
then
a
in May, they'll be like, oh,
prize?
surprise, you get a supplemental. And this year, supplemental for that line item was about $2 million.
Thank you for the commission.
I had it written down somewhere.
So it'll,
Ding,
so,
ding, ding.
so in terms of the 16,000,008 that's put in the budget, that's
Yeah.
probably really close to what we'll actually receive
Right.
between the certified 14,000,008 and the supplemental that comes in May or June, that they tell us about. It'll be real close to that, I
Yeah,
believe.
right.
So keep the 16.8 in.
I'm good with the 16,800 as far as
I
the whole
mean,
budget number.
or as I said at 1:00 not this morning, 1:00 this afternoon, if you choose to use a smaller amount in your budget and then take some expenses out, also known as the $1 million amount that's in the council budget, the 1.5 that commissioners have. And then come May, when you see what that number is, then add more for road funding or what have you.
Works both ways.
Yeah. Okay, we'll deliberate this. I want to think on it. We'll move to the corner, unless you have anything else.
So, because I'm glad the coroner's here, because I just about had a heart attack. I'm good.
Welcome.
Good afternoon.
How are you?
I'm doing well. Yourself?
It's good.
Have Mr. Frederick with me this afternoon as well, so hopefully we can answer all questions.
All right. Take it away.
Well, basically, like we've submitted, we're asking for an increase in our budget for next year. We're asking to add a full-time office manager or office administrator. Because Mr. Frederick is wanting to take a little bit more time off and enjoy his retirement, if you will. And he's wanting to stay with us no longer than June or July of next year to help train whoever we would hire if we're able to get that full-time position.
Perfect.
My biggest thing is, I know there's been discussion, I don't know if with the rest of the council about accreditation.
Yes.
Talking to your mic, Mark.
I know there was some discussion, I know about accrediting the office and moving forward because the coroner getting replaced after every 8 years or so and keeping the continuity going and everything else. You want to explain a little bit more about that, the
Sure.
logic behind?
Yeah, like you said, every 4 years, you never know what's gonna happen as far as the coroner's office and who's gonna be elected. Obviously, we wanna keep continuity and keep everything working smoothly like we have now. With accreditation, it kind of fortifies that and puts that in place. Accreditation is you have to meet, obviously, certain rules and requirements to get into that. It is a $2,000 investment initially to apply for the accreditation. And then I believe it's $300 every 5 years after that to remain accredited. And it will keep the office within those stipulations and keep it running smoothly within the rules and regulations. So no matter who comes in, they can't just change everything immediately.
And I think that would help the office. I guess you look over the years, I think we had to look for reports one time in a deep freezer in a flower shop one time. So the continuity's there where if you get the proper people in there, the person in that position, and even lawsuits and things down the road, it's going to pay dividends. I think having that individual there and consistently keeping record keeping.
And our thoughts are part of the, kind of going down that road is we want to have them in there where we have somebody immediately available to return phone calls to family members when they call in. The person, I would like to see them actually be certified as a medical legal death investigator, just like the rest of us would like to send them through the class. Now, whether they would actually go out and cover calls, not necessarily, but they need to have that background and that knowledge to be able to do the rest of the job as well.
I'm supportive of it.
I'm supportive of it too. The coroner's office is like a wild place for me between Nolte's, SUV.
You should have looked at it 20 years ago and trying to figure out.
This is wild, literally wild to me.
I've been a medic here in the community for 20 years now, and I've seen different coroners come and go. And I've done everything from the little minivan and the doors freezing to where we had to figure out how to get the individuals into it, to the nice vehicle that we have now, which I'm very grateful for. So.
No,
and
it just makes sense. Like
Or
a
especially
county of our
just holding
size,
around flower bags.
sorry.
And I got to applaud Jay Fred for
Fees, like
doing this and thinking this, because we've talked hours on this, about this and how we can go from the Stone Age moving forward. and make sure things are properly handled. I mean, literally, I put bodies in the back of the police car because the coroner couldn't get there quick enough. And that's years ago. It wouldn't happen now, but things like that happen, and hopefully the record keeping was the biggest thing I was hoping that would instill for the future.
Well,
Backseat, trunk, whatever.
yeah. Well, and this is sort of a wash since the auditor's office has figured out how to decrease headcounts. So from an administrative office manager type role, I support it. Any questions?
And thank you for sending out the email
Yes.
whenever it was, 6 months ago,
Yeah, back in May.
because I sent it to a friend of mine in Decatur County who's been the auditor there. And I said, okay, read all this and tell me your thoughts.
Right.
So her and her husband responded back to me. It's like, for a county of your size, it makes sense. So thanks for doing that.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
No
At my
further-
age. Professionally, but profession is very well taken care of.
You know, he doesn't have frequent customers in his business.
No,
It's one and done. It's one and done.
they're dying to get insurance.
No loyalty catch.
Sheriff's Department
No,
has
you
frequent customers.
No, we appreciate it. I think this is straightforward,
Yeah.
so.
Yep.
Thank you. Sorry. That got really dark.
Thanks.
For life. Thank you for coming in too.
Thank you.
Danny, you get to start early.
Right.
I know you're excited.
I got here early just.
Better?
I know.
Thank you. And I saw we just got more money.
Oh, the gas.
The gas.
We got
Gas.
some of our
We
gas.
got our gas.
They're,
It's
They're
coming.
promising it.
they, yeah, they're paying us the money that they should have been paying us to begin with.
Amen.
And they're taking credit for it.
Pat him themselves on the back.
For
Yeah.
giving us some big rooms for us to get in
They're
Christmas.
so.
Yeah.
And they're gonna wish that they would have had that extra money to spend on some bridges in Hamilton County.
Yeah, they are.
And is that 507 earmark for something? And I'm maybe jumping.
Well, that's on the next page.
I'm jumping the gun, okay.
Uh,
I'm jumping the gun, so.
yeah, I was gonna get into that when we get into the infrastructure stuff, so. We got big projects coming up next year and. Guess, where are we starting?
Where do you want to start?
She's got your Cume Bridge on first.
New Bridge, no, basically, we just, other than my stuff, pretty much same as last year. We just put all the actual bridge work into Bridge 170. Some of it will be get separated and put into 103.
Which one's 170? Is that the Lowell Bridge?
170 is Lowell Bridge, 103 is Tally Road. The city has got a road improvement project on Tally Road, and we're responsible for the bridge on that. So that's what Bridge 103 is. I guess you want to look at that one sheet that we got, we need to come up with almost 4.3 million for our local match on those. Well, I've also included, we're gonna apply, the bridge is closed on 900 North. We're gonna apply for a grant for that in the fall to rehabilitate that bridge. So I've included that in here too, the start the design of it, not construction, but.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I thought construction was gonna be way more than that.
Yeah, this is just to get through the
Engineering.
engineering and environmental hoops and whatever. But we didn't do any bridge projects this year. So if you look over there, I think we're gonna have leftover money in Q Bridge at the end of this year. That'll make us, the bridge fund will be fine
Even after Tally and Lowell?
for Tally and Lowell, yeah.
Okay,
So we have 6.9 million in that fund right now,
okay.
and they get revenue from that property tax revenue, the Q
Every
Bridge
year.
Fund every 6 months. So
Yes,
one thing is, that rate has never changed, and that rate on the Cume Bridge Fund can be increased. It never has since I've been involved.
Okay.
So if you're concerned that there's not enough money for bridges, change that.
But I'm not hearing concern from you at the moment.
well, we haven't been doing any smaller projects because we knew these big ones were coming down the pike and we wanted to save the money for that. We didn't want to get here and not have enough cash available to do it, so.
Okay,
I mean, there is smaller structures we could work on, but, they've been kind of,
Yeah, to increase the rate on bridges, does that require a motion from us,
I believe the commissioners have to do that.
the commissions?
Just like if you want a cumulative capital development fund and have that as a property tax rate, it's my understanding that that is something the commissioners have to put together.
oh,
Why it's not this body, I don't know. It's the way the state sets it up. Does it make sense? Why should it, they start making sense now?
State legislator,
yes.
don't make sense, I don't know what they do.
Nope.
Did you get that?
Okay, makes sense.
So really, so basically, based on what you're saying, which I believe that you're correct, and that's why I was asking the original question, if Danny feels that would be something that Danny would have to recommend for them to take action or not,
Or you could recommend it to the commissioners.
so we can.
Mhm.
Yeah.
What's your opinion, Danny?
what's that?
What's your opinion?
We still got a couple more really big projects that we haven't even started the federal process on. So, I mean, like the bridge on 25th Street by the old landfill, the piers underneath that are like over 100 years old and it's gonna need some attention fairly soon, and that's gonna be another, $5 million project. So, but we can't keep ignoring the small structures forever. They're gonna need attention too.
It's more costly to wait than it is to do the maintenance up front,
Right,
correct?
right. So a lot of them they need new decks is what they need. They don't need a whole new bridge. They just need decks. And if
Besides law
we
enforcement,
don't address the decks, then it'll get worse underneath.
besides law enforcement, highways is one of the areas our employees required for it to be the best. So I would be in favor if the council would recommend the commissioners. I would be supportive for the council to recommend to the commissioners to increase the rate on the bridges. And if you have a bridge coming down that is not working properly, that will cause a lot of hardship for a lot of people from getting to work and all that kind of stuff. So it would be better if we're proactive on that. So that's up for the council to decide on how you want to pursue it in this, yeah.
I don't know what, I mean,
I would personally like to not recommend it, change
Not
the rate,
recommend
but to look into it and communicate back to us.
okay, do some figures?
Yeah. I wouldn't automatically say increase the
What is
rate
the
unless I
balance in
knew
there
how
right
it's gonna
now?
impact everything else.
6.9 million.
6.9.
And how much do we collect every year into that fund?
Daily can probably tell you.
Right now.
Okay, thank you.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know, like, look at what the different rates could be.
It would impact. At least that makes sense to me.
Mhm.
I mean, it looks like from last year it was 2.4 million.
Is that amount consistent throughout the years? Is it more or less, or does it change?
It changed, but it changes based on the assessed value
Okay.
because it's a flat amount per 100 of assessed value.
Okay.
Can we include this with reading?
That's exactly where my head went.
Yeah.
I literally wrote a note, like, have them investigate this.
Hey, you surround yourself with good people.
Amen. Right, we're paying for it. All right, thank you for that suggestion. All right, where do you want to move next?
Well, the other items on bridge are supplies and contractual. They're the same as we did last year. That's pipes. We buy culvert pipes and we sometimes we have to hire tree trimming or crane to help us put pipes in. That's all. That's the other items in Q Bridge.
Okay.
So Daleen just said last year we brought in 3.1 million to the Kimbridge Fund.
In 25?
Yeah, so we received in almost 3.1 and spit it out 1.8. So.
Yeah, because we've been trying to save. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
On Local Road Street, it's, we took out the infrastructure item that was $40,000 because we've got infrastructure and other funds. So we just divided that 40,000 into some of the other items that we spend additional money on. That's why those are increased. There's fund in general has no additional, same as last year. It's just spread some of that one item out and the other ones that generally shuffle money in, put additional money in throughout the year anyway, so. That's about all over Road Street, so. Machinery and equipment we have in Local Road Street. We're gonna purchase a new mechanic service van. Ours got totaled this year. Guy ran off the road and it had a big hoist on one side of it, so it's all unbalanced. And then he lost control and it flipped over. Insurance totaled it. So that's $130,000 to replace that. And then I've got $250,000 for one new dump truck, replacing a 2005 dump truck. That's the oldest one. So that's what's going into the machinery and equipment.
So can any of that be taken out of the
Capital,
rainy day funds or
Other funds?
riverboat?
Yeah, you could. The insurance proceeds, where did the insurance proceeds go on that?
It should have went in there, but it wasn't. It was 20 years old already, so insurance.
Gave you $20,000.
Oh, okay,
So-
okay.
It always goes into county jail until they either replace it or get a new one and it gets appropriated into their fund.
Okay, all right.
We have to have documentation that they.
The insurance isn't gonna replace it. I mean, they contribute a little bit, but wasn't much.
You probably needed a new one anyway.
Well, I mean, needing it, or, I mean, we could have used one, but it could have got another year or so out of it. It wasn't.
1 year didn't buy as much time, 10 years maybe.
I guess the restricted fund, it all goes to infrastructure. I don't know if you wanna get into that now. That's the
Yeah,
that's the bottom half of that sheet I
Oh,
passed
it's
out.
this one.
Yeah. We've got the 325 West, and I put on here, you know, we're gonna apply for community crossings again. Whether we get it or not, we'll have to see, just like last year. But I'm assuming, you know, I'll have to come up with $1 million. And if we get a $2 million, which is the maximum grant now, then, and then I've got $1 million in for other maintenance. That's our chip seal and crack seal and different other pavement treatments.
So the 325 West intersection, that's what is,
That's with Lowell Bridge.
With
That's
Lowell
that's
Bridge, okay.
the roundabout at the west end of Lowell Bridge.
Okay.
So, we're gonna need roughly 2.8 million next year if we do all that. I mean, we can cut some chip seal, we can cut some overlay, but if we want to maximize the overlay, we're gonna be short. I've got that 500 that was left over from what you gave me from this year's overlay on here. That's gonna leave us about another $500,000 short.
You're gonna accrue that? Or-
I included it in next year.
Yeah.
That's what I'm asking, I guess, that we can do that, so. We're gonna need it, and then,
Deferred, whatever we call it at the
It's
government.
encumbered, as long as
Encumbered.
it's
I'm like,
not
what's the
shown
words
as
we
an
use
asset
at county
expense.
government? We call it accrue.
Yeah.
Covered.
Sorry. So
that's,
you need 2.8, you're asking for 1.8, you're,
well, we're only asking for what, you know, that we get in our MVH fund. I mean, that's what we get.
right, thank you for that clarification.
It's not a general fund
No,
item,
it's the gas tax.
right. And I'm assuming we're gonna get everything this year that, like we've been promised, and,
Yeah.
for the rest of this year, that we're not gonna end up with a hole from not getting it, but so far, so good. That's 1173s. Now we go in the regular highway fund, which is, everything else that's not road maintenance. I mean, it's all road maintenance, but not direct.
And we're still contracting out roadside mowing?
Yeah, that's a local road street. That's contractual services, 250
Yep.
on that. That's not all, I mean, that's not all mowing. That's.
I know,
That's just how much we get. I think it's like 200, it'll be like 200 for the mowing and then 50 for everything else.
okay.
For the superintendent, the assistant superintendent, and the office manager, I am requesting an additional $2,000 on top of the 2% salary increase. I just think these guys are undervalued, and that I'd like to see them get a little more.
Okay.
Can you share what the logic is? I mean, is there,
Just the logic, they're just valuable people that,
I mean,
I'd like
has
to
their
see
job changed, or
what's that?
has their job changed, or is there anything?
Well, no, I mean, well, it's always taking on more work because it seems like we always have more stuff to do, but, not directly, no.
If we change the 2% to 1.5% or to 3.5%, do you still, would that help make up that part of that gap, or would you still like to see the 2,000 on top of it?
I'd like to see something on top of it, just to
Okay.
show that let them know that they're,
Recognized.
yeah.
Do you know where we're at comparative to similar positions? Are we below?
I don't know.
Would that have to be, would that be a stipend or would that be built into the salary scale?
They build it as salary.
Yeah.
So we'd have to amend that.
I mean, if you want to give them a bonus, I mean, I don't think they would argue that either, but, but everything else is pretty much the same, as last year, other than the 2% for the salaries and the increase because of HERF and health insurance and social security and all that's reflected of the raise. We did, increase uniforms by $8,000. That's just the cost of uniforms has gone up, and it's just, we're not buying more uniforms or anything. It's just the fact that their cost increase is reflected in there. And gas and oil is an item that we're watching very closely. The diesel we bought in February was $3.48 a gallon. And in May, it was $5.41 a gallon. But then in July, it went back down to $3.84, so I can't explain that. But I mean, if it's, everyone was at $5.41, we'd be in trouble, but I think I'm keeping an eye on it, I guess, is what I'm saying right now, and I didn't increase from last year where you'd only spent 160 or 240 anyway, so there's a bit of a cushion in there anyhow. So.
Just stay with us.
Following it, I guess. So at this point, I'm not asking to change it from last year's.
Did you explain why there's a 26% increase in group insurance and I miss it?
You have to ask them. I don't know. They tell us those numbers, so.
Commissioners?
Do you know why he has a 26% jump in his group insurance?
I cannot tell you. The directive was to increase it by 7.5%. So I don't know if it was just maybe a clerical thing on their end, but it should just be.
We'll do it in deliberations. I'll take a note. That's a huge jump. Did you get a bunch more employees that went on insurance or something?
I believe we were directed to do everybody at like the maximum family rate, even though some of them aren't at the family rate. Does that sound
That
familiar?
didn't come from us.
That's not the percentage. Yeah, that's how you're getting to it, though. Okay.
It's fine. Everything's fine. Everything's fine. Everything's fine.
Count to 10, Liam.
Did that again.
Count to 10.
3 times.
Okay, thanks. Everything makes sense. This is why we get $3 million back every year.
That's part of it. But also because we never really take into account our lit supplemental
Valid,
in the past.
valid. You are right. Sorry, Danny.
We diverged there a little bit.
This is not your fault. Continue.
That's all I have. I don't know if you have any questions on any of it.
That's all we have.
I love when Danny
No.
comes.
Yeah.
I do not have any questions. This is straightforward.
Yeah.
Full transparency with you, like roads are very important to us, bridges. We're doing some maneuvering with the commissioner's budget, our budget, where we'll have the commissioners come back to get you additional road funding. Like, we want to make you whole again, but we're sort of playing with numbers to make that work. So I don't want you to think that we don't support roads. We're going to see what gets kicked back into the general fund at the end of the year.
Okay.
So just want to be transparent.
Segment as opposed to all
Yeah.
upfront.
Keep our budgets balanced. So we can reappropriate that in the spring.
Yeah.
You start doing bidding. So, any other questions for highway?
Let's take 5.
All right, you are done. Let's take 5 and then we will deliberate
All right.
until the library. No.
Tastefully what?
for less.
We've got some time to do some deliberations before the library and solid waste comes to go over their budget. We are now sitting with 897,000 based on our cuts yesterday. Correct? Am I reading that right? I have a list of things that we need to see if we have consensus on. From yesterday, the commissioners asked for an increase. Let's just talk about the employees. There's multiple employees that asked for increases in salaries. One of them's the commissioner, assistant county administrator, an increase there. An increase for the Dunn manager, that's a part-time employee. That's now mowing instead of hiring that out. An increase for the deputy prosecutors, the felony prosecutors there.
But the increase for the prosecutor was to reduce her head count.
Right,
Let's take them one at a time. Let's
So
just
we
deal
have
with it
to
right up front,
determine
get a
it's
consensus.
not really a real increase per se.
totally. I just want to read through them all so we can think about all of these. Pay differential in the jail. A salary bump for the 3 employees in the highway department. A new role for the coroner's office. And then another thing someone brought up to me is, we haven't talked about this, but we approved stipends last year. I see stipends and again, are we good with stipends again this year?
Yes.
So with that being said, let's take this one at a time.
That's just dealing with personnel.
Yep, just dealing with personnel first. Are we, commissioners, increase, that was an increase of,
If you remember last year, the commissioners also asked to have that job increased and we denied it.
Yep.
And partially it's because part of the time was taking care of archives and the other part was working when Tina was not there.
mhm,
She spends more time here than she does in the archives. So my question would be, why do we need archives?
I-
We also need to add the.
I mean, if the individual spends more time over here,
That's
is
their-
the next question gonna be that they're gonna ask us next year for an increase of a person in the archive?
that's a valid question. I don't even know what the archives,
It's a room over in the courthouse. It's a great for a genealogical resource. I've been there. It has a lot of old materials that have been found over the years that have been boxed up and prepared. And so you can go in there and do your research and it's nice offering that as a county. Again,
I
we want to
agree.
take care of our constituents
I
and
agree.
those who have roots in this county.
So
So
when you go there, if Brooke's not there, who
you
helps
pretty
you?
well, it's hard to get into then.
Yeah, it's a very small room.
It's not very large. But yeah, that would be a great question for the commissioners.
Yeah,
But
sorry,
you
I'm
see
just
what I'm
thinking
getting
about
at?
this.
Higher appointment then?
I mean,
Yeah,
I
it
don't
must
have a
be.
problem giving her an increase based on the work that she's doing with the commissioners. However, if they asked us for that last year, this year they're asking us again.
Yeah,
So next year they ask us to get a part-time job to take care of the archives. So, I mean,
That's anticipating. We
You know,
can't really.
where do
run a
we
crystal
stop?
ball.
yeah. Okay,
But we're paying for it anyway, so we either just allocate it.
What's that
to-
increase, Leah?
hold on, let me,
Her increase was $2,960.
thank you.
6.3.
and it
And that's
sounds
built
like
in.
everybody's asking $2,000
Yeah.
for increase.
It's already built in.
They have a water cooler,
Huh? They have a what?
a water cooler meeting.
Oh, yeah, if it
Do you
did.
remember those?
Yeah. You know, Danny's increase, or just because it's nice to do, you know, hell, everybody wants to give somebody an increase because, because it's nice.
Yeah, favorite employee,
No.
let's give them an
It-
increase.
And I'm not, but what I'm being sarcastic in a way. I'm not saying that the person doesn't deserve the increase,
I hear you.
but, I mean, for me to be able to, if a constituent asks me, why did you give these increases? I would like to be able to give them back an answer that makes some sense.
I don't,
My math, then if it's 2,900 plus 3.5, you're at over a 10% raise. Am I right?
Yes.
so do we want, since we're gonna give it 3.5, do we wanna bump it down? Do we not wanna give her anything? Like,
So my office had a proposal that they took to the commissioners. And it was shot down. And it would have combined some job functions. But the commissioners didn't want to have it.
Mike, I can barely hear you.
Sorry about that. So and Daleen probably can speak to this better than can I, because I took myself out of this situation for various reasons. But they took a proposal to the commissioners to combine some job functions so that we wouldn't have to have as many additional administrative roles. And that was shot down by the commissioners.
Did they give you a reason?
They
Okay.
need to speak up to the mic, please.
So. So we knew that we were not going to fill our position come January 1.
Right.
A group of us sat and kind of tried to figure, we asked for the accounting raises. They have asked for a raise for Brooke for a few years. Tina had said that, the attorney had said she needed more help in the office over there. They were wanting to give Brooke raises. So we did a proposal that helped give the coroner what they needed, give the accounting department their needs, give Brooke a raise, help maintenance with their clerical person, as well as park board. We were going to have, and the coroner's office was going to job share their person with these other offices, because the coroner's office was not sure how much their person was going to be needed at first until they get accredited and all that. We have some payroll claim issues with those other two departments. So we were trying to streamline the process and make it so that Brooke could get her raise, our people could get more, and it would help all the offices that were involved. So the commissioners shot that down, not for any reason other than they didn't want to do it. But then in turn asked for that same raise for Brooke. But we had adjusted our request for our accounting, so it is a little bit different. But with that raise and then what we've asked for, there will only be $1,000 some difference between the accounting and that position.
Once your is in, we're only talking 1,000. Not with the 10, I got a hard time swallowing a 10% raise. What's
Well,
that?
it's a 7.7%.
Oh, is it?
It's about $4,000 on 52.
Okay.
So,
The 2 plus the 3.5.
the
Somehow what-
2963 plus the 3.5.
Okay.
And
Well,
somehow what you
No,
explained
that's,
to
I'm
me-
sorry, that's at 2%.
That's at 2%.
At 3%, yeah, it may be, maybe it would be close to 9+%.
I wasn't questioning you. I was just confirming that I understood.
Yeah, thanks.
All consensus.
What's everyone feeling?
Well,
I got a thumbs down.
I don't think we have to. I don't think we have to talk about it much.
What does the
I
1.5?
know the work, that Brooke does and all that. However, based on the story that Daleen said, which is, again, combining jobs and utilizing people more, I would go back to the commissioner and says, how about, do you want the raise? If you want the raise, this is how we're willing to do it.
But if we're kind of giving it to them anyway with the extra 1.5, then we can take the 2 out because they
Oh,
did
no,
that
they
based on
want
a 2%.
they want a $2,000 raise plus the merit review
Plus-
increase.
Plus the
Not talking about,
What are you saying?
they're not talking about the merit, everybody's gonna get the merit increase, no matter, they want a raise for her. Just like Danny wants a raise for the two people in addition to the merit increase.
No, I understand. I'm just saying that their proposal was based off of a 2%.
Yeah, so they,
I mean,
they wanted. they
maybe
wanted-
Brooke and Tina wouldn't be so busy if they didn't have to print and copy all of the emails for the commissioners.
What's the consensus, Mike?
I'm not good with the full amount. If they want to
George?
raise it,
I don't wanna,
let
the
them
only
find
way
the
that I
raise.
would grant that I will feel comfortable with granting the increase will be if there's other additional responsibilities that she gets to help out. The-
I just said 3.5 instead of the 2 plus the
Yeah.
2,900.
Yeah.
And I think that we need to explain that to commissioners.
Yep. Okay. Next, the Dunn manager, this was a
Heflin.
legitimate, Heflin, Dunn.
Park.
Heflin Park.
Sorry, I get
Oh,
my
I wrote
parts.
done, sorry, that's my fault.
Okay. They did have a reason. This person's now mowing and they're not hiring out or
We're not
like
outsourcing the mowing.
mowing. This person's mowing. It's an $836 raise on this part-time person.
I'm fine.
What's the rate per hour?
I'm for this one because
Consensus
it's,
is there.
there's a
yes.
reason.
I'm for this person and only, I get it, because I'm biased and I serve on that board, but
I got 5.
the time I've been there.
Kim, we've already got a yes.
Move on.
Okay,
Goodness.
deputy prosecutors, those felony deputy prosecutors that could make more money going and being,
Totally supportive.
yeah, I'm for it.
I'm for it.
Good.
There was an additional for one part-time to bring her up to the other part-time person's rate pay.
Yeah.
I'm
That
also
was
for
just
that
a-
because that was a clerical
Yeah.
oversight for that.
Yeah.
The pay differential in the jail for the leadership
Yes.
Command staff,
and staff, thank you.
command staff, I understand the logic behind that because you have to have people in charge and getting close to salaries is too much responsibility.
Right.
I'm supportive of that.
Okay,
He explained it very well in our
I
meeting,
agree.
so I didn't have any
thought so,
problem.
too.
Yep.
And
Consensus
Because yeah.
there,
okay, the auditor's office, the 3 people there because we're eliminating a role.
totally.
Yep, and
Win-win.
Yeah.
highway
consensus.
department, he wants to bump those 3 employees $2,000 apiece.
Now, did we do any bumping last year? There was some,
He asked for it, we said no.
was that what it was last year?
So last year, I do not believe you did anything. You did the office manager a couple of years ago. There was
We
a
did.
little
In the
increase.
office.
Not my say, just my opinion. We said they were loyal people, but we give loyalty pay that we give employees for being here.
Oh, they,
We all did a couple of years.
I mean, I'm saying if we're looking at just because they're loyal or changes in job descriptions, then.
well, yeah, that's why I was like, there's some role change.
Do they get loyalty pay?
Yes.
Yes,
No.
okay. I'm seeing thumbs down. Okay. Coroner, are we for the coroners?
Yes.
Sorry,
Yes.
okay.
Yep.
Yeah, we got enough.
I definitely do agree
Yeah.
with that, Corin. 'Cause I
Did
may be using them.
I miss? I can't with you.
You don't want to go to the refrigerator out in the.
No, I don't.
Um,
The temperature is right.
the sheriff,
People,
the sheriff,
analyst and the 2 new
oh
deputies.
yeah, thank you. The analyst and 2 deputies.
The 2 deputies, I'm for all 3 of them, but the logic I'm still holding is that we've already kicked it down the road one time.
That's
And
mine.
then the same layer, if we don't fill it and something happens in the training period in that year and a half, we're pushing 2 years out. So
Yeah.
we almost got to keep up with the 5-year plan we discussed. And if that's where we're heading,
And I think we have to get this analyst with the crimes against children increasing
Yeah.
the way they are.
and I'm glad it's a civilian.
Yeah.
Hang
I
on.
really don't know if the crimes against children.
Explain something about the analyst. You were saying something about,
That's valid. That's valid.
what's that?
He said, I don't know if it's increasing, we're just becoming more aware of it.
Okay, but you were,
Better technology to get them.
you mentioned to me something about the prosecutors were doing something that we were gonna be.
Only thing I was concerned, the investigator out of their office was paid 110, and to get a qualified person that they're looking at, it's gonna be hard pressed to get 75, but I'm not on that market now, so I'm good luck to him if you can get it and find a
He said
quality
he'd
help.
come back if he can't find it.
So,
Okay.
I'm for it.
I'm for it.
Says yes.
I thought we were doing something with the headcount with another department.
Well, we were trying to do that with the coroner and,
The-
okay. What else am I missing?
Holiday pay for youth service center.
Oh, yeah, the holiday pay thing with youth service. Are we all confused?
Confused, but yet I understand the logic,
And based on,
what Brad's
well,
people.
well, and based on what I'm gathering from the outburst, I don't think the jail wants to lose their floating PTO.
that wasn't my suggestion.
I know it wasn't, but like,
I would say if we're okay with this, the dollar amount,
What's the dollar?
then if it's a change, it needs to be approved by the commissioners to implement the change.
They can't approve it because they don't have jurisdiction over those employees.
Whoever has jurisdiction
Whoever
over
has
those
jurisdiction.
employees,
It's the state and that's,
state or the
We pay,
courts.
but
Well, I'm just thinking they're doing it different. So if you take a policy and you change the policy somewhere, that has to be notated and documented.
we
What do you
changed it
know?
years ago, we changed
I
it
mean,
again.
I've been very clear about this entire issue for a long time. I think we should shut the entire thing down. I think we should outsource and send those juvenile delinquents to another county. Period. Full stop. We would save $3 million a year. And we would have our resources for something else.
Pia, I don't disagree with what you're saying. The thing that bothers me is that these so-called people are not county employees. They belong to the judges, and the judges set their own rules, and we have to pay for whatever their rules are. So to me,
Not if you
the
don't
whole
eliminate
thing is
the entire
confusing as
program.
hell. You know, I would send the whole thing over
Yeah.
to another county, to be honest with you, and not build anything.
So, I mean, and I mean, on this specific issue, I say, if you don't fund it, they can't do it.
They stay
I
with
mean-
the 15-day thing that we already set.
So,
Well, they're doing it because they've changed their policy.
they're-
They're just
They're
robbing
already
the
doing
people
it.
in
They're
their
just telling us
current budget.
how they're doing it.
yeah, they're just being transparent. They've been doing it. Now
And
it's just
apparently,
transparent.
They had to run it up the chain of their,
They had to get it approved by somebody
yeah, and
to make this change.
Let them continue doing it the way they were doing it.
So I don't have a problem with dividing the dollars out to be more identifiable.
Yeah.
So I don't have a problem with the budget numbers. I'm not gonna get into managing their processes.
I'm totally agreeing with that.
that's unfortunate.
It is, but at the end of the day.
I mean, the amount of kids that they run over there, I mean, I look at their food bills, there is no way that if they only have 4 kids in shelter, that they're running through the amount of food that they have. I about lost my mind when she said that they were gonna increase their food budget.
Can we not increase?
I mean, 40 pounds of ripe bananas a week for 4 kids, they're eating a hell of a lot of smoothies or banana pudding.
Got an excellent potassium.
Yeah.
No cramps.
I mean, it makes me crazy.
Well, okay, based on what you're saying, maybe we need to look at the operation expenses that they presented and put it back to 1926 dollars amount. Because you're right, I mean, 40 pounds of bananas for 4 kids on average, doesn't make sense.
Oh, and yesterday when you appropriated $60,000 for some juvenile JADI incentives,
The grants.
I mean, the amount, bouncy houses and you name it. I mean, $60,000 worth of crap to,
We're here to decide whether we're gonna pay for that. or not,
Crazy.
Not whether to buy bananas.
Yeah.
I'm back to what and deciding whether they're either gonna fund that for them or not. That's our responsibility. Am I wrong on that?
No, no, you're not wrong.
I mean, I can't micromanage every department. I gotta take face value what they're saying and what they're doing. And our responsibilities, if it's a taxpayer money, if we see fit to fund it, we have to have justice.
Mark, it all depends how you look at it. By the fact that we approve a budget, we're micromanaging that department in a way, okay? If we tell them they can have a vehicle or not, that's micromanaging. Whether they can buy 40 pounds of bananas a week or not, that's micromanaging. When people are misusing the money that we're responsible for, our taxpayers, that might be micromanaging. But some departments are not playing the game open, honestly. And this department has been notorious for doing that for many years.
What's the flavor of the council then? here to discuss whether we're gonna fund that part of it or not.
And maybe we fund the holiday pay for this topic, but we say we're not gonna fund an increase in food because we want you to manage the budget a little better.
Or we give them a directive, the food is only for the residents and not for the staff.
We have no control. That will be micromanagement. We have no control of that. We don't have, they will tell us that they're not feeding those people up. And we will have to, either we have somebody there finding out every time that there's lunch or something like that. Somebody has to eat 40 pounds of bananas,
But they do have a responsibility to manage to the budget we approve.
Yes.
We're talking about bananas, and I'm using that as an example. I'm talking about the food budget, okay? When you have a food budget that is increased that amount of money for 4 kids, that's even though the price of food is higher than it used to be last year, but if
Well, last year, the,
Kids is accurate.
the
I
two
mean,
threes and fours last year was $118,175. The 2 3s and 4s this year is $117,145. Right? It went down by $970 in that category. Food, office supplies, whatever.
Because they decreased their relief workers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm good with their total dollars for that place.
That's on food.
Yeah.
Now, I will say, the 2026 expend, is that through July? Because like on their food, they're running,
That's when you put it through, didn't
The
we cut it off July 31st?
895,000.
Yes.
We don't have 2025 spend.
well, but 2026, they're running light on food anyway, so like,
All right, how about a proposal? Don't give them the 4% in the food that they're asking for, and if they need additional food money, so let them come back for an addition.
I'm good with that.
What's that come to, Mike? Dollars?
Just to
That's,
clarify, those
I'm
numbers
based on numbers, Mike, what you
The
had.
what?
June
24.
30th.
Oh, June
Oh,
3rd, but they're still running light.
The increase is $2,570 or something.
Yeah, it's principal.
Yeah.
Keep food flat.
So you guys said no 4% increase for food?
Yeah.
Okay.
Does that make, is that a compromise there to do it?
to
Get us
reduce
all
the-
centered? Instead of doing the 4% additional,
Keep it flat.
keep it flat, and then if they need additional in 27, they come back ask for an additional, and if we need to get more clarification, if there's a 40-pound banana bill in there, we can look at it then.
I will not tell them to come back if they need more money, but I will tell them.
They're gonna have to
keep it
feed them,
flat.
so if they run out of money, they're gonna have to.
Well, if they run out of money, they will have to, but I will not tell them, come back to us if you run out of money. Try to manage it within what we're telling them.
Yeah.
That department has,
What's the consensus on that? You wanna call
Yeah,
for a
keep
vote?
it flat.
yeah, I
Yeah,
agree.
keep it flat.
Okay.
Okay,
What about the holiday thing then?
I will do the holiday. We don't have a choice on that.
yeah,
I think they're already doing it.
they're already doing it. It just was all coming out of
Yeah.
the overtime budget that they're running real hot on. Right?
But the overtime budget went down, correct? I don't have the numbers with me.
No.
Yeah. Overtime, no, they kept the overtime flat, but if you look at their overtime budget,
It's 2%.
a 2% increase, but if you look at their 2026 expense, they have 56,000 in their overtime budget. They've already spent 94,000 out of that line item. Like, they're just running hot and just not being transparent about it. So now she's finally like, listen, guys, this costs more. We're just taking from our other areas in our 100s to balance, right? Isn't that what they're doing? So now she's just trying to be transparent with us. And I don't want to discourage people to be transparent with us.
Consensus says then,
I'm for doing it.
Yeah.
okay.
That's
Numbers
for the
are there.
holiday thing?
Yeah.
For the holiday, whatever they're doing?
Yeah.
Fine, thank you.
Okay,
At the rate we're going, Heather's gonna be in trouble.
no, we're almost there. Okay, commissioners also asked for additional increase with insurance for the liability, workman's comp, ambulance.
That's, we have.
Yeah,
to
you
do
have
that.
to do that.
I just want to make sure we're all good there.
Choice on that. They have no choice.
The park board had a small overall increase in operating budget minus the truck and John Deere that were taken to River. We're all good there.
Let's hit a pause. We hit a pause button because you mentioned riverboat. Do you have any more riverboat from the sheriff or something? Cars and vehicles?
We were talking about Danny, like the truck.
Danny had a dump truck for 250 and a maintenance service truck for 130.
Or were you talking about trying to do that where?
Well,
Riverboat.
riverboat.
Or do we
One-
want to do the 2 extra sheriff's cars out of Riverboat? Because normally we budget 4 and he's asking for 2 more this year.
Well, keep in mind that you cannot depend on riverboats every year because the money that comes from riverboats is not that big.
Well, that would make sense because then the 140,
Do the 2 cars?
because next year we won't have it. It'll be in 5 years.
Right.
It hits again. So, yeah, let's do that.
The sheriff cars and riverboat?
2 of the sheriff's car Riverboat.
Okay, but we don't know for Danny's truck yet.
I don't know. What do you guys
It's
think
in
about?
general.
It's in his,
Does it come out of general fund or come out of his highway?
Comes out of highway.
Then let's leave it there.
okay.
Sorry.
It should
So
140.
together.
70 apiece.
Okay,
new piece,
so
140.
140. Okay.
All of the items that you currently have on on the screen come out of general fund.
Okay.
So that would make sense to take money out of Riverboat and give some relief to your general fund.
And what we we took riverboat out, yes, what would our balance there be now then? Because there's another 44,000 we could get from the sheriff on his weapons and tasers and vests out of riverboat additionals, one-time expense this year.
Because of the additional.
Yes, no, not additional and
I'm trying to pull up your
Riverboat has
screen.
60. So that 250 takes us
I
down to
think just-
600.
I'd leave that where it is.
the 44 in general.
He's going to ask for those consistently
Every
year
year.
after
Yeah.
year.
Correct.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of the one time.
I
He's
don't
trying
like
to
the
spread- He's trying to
one-time.
spread those out.
The one time.
So,
Mhm.
I like that.
Okay,
Add this for Riverboat.
Yeah,
That's it for now. Okay.
for now.
well, sorry, we digressed there. You had somebody.
But you have to add
next
that in when we
head, and
advertise.
I jumped us
Riverboat.
back to
Yeah.
riverboat on the sheriff.
The
Oh.
John Deere,
The,
was it 3,300,
We'll take it out of the sheriff.
right?
33 for the John Deere. Well, it's 3,300.
well,
you said?
the John Deere the John Deere was 6,300 and the truck was 50. I thought it was 113,000
I was
total.
thinking 113.
I was thinking it was 113
Somewhere.
That's what he had
Well,
asked
it's
for.
113.3.
for his 2 vehicles.
Yeah,
There you
So-
go.
I think it was
It's a
accounted.
tractor for 63 and a truck for 50,000 and 3,300.
Increase was 3,300 because he got the
3,300.
Yeah.
dump truck last year.
So on the river, back to the river, it needs to be 113.
Yes.
Right.
From the parks.
Yeah.
So 113, yeah,
100.
113.3.
For the truck too.
And then the truck is 50,000 or the,
Tractor's 50 and truck's 63, I think, or vice versa.
Tractor 63 and the truck's 50.
that's,
Sorry, did this at 6.
And we already got
You're good.
the EOCs or the 52.
That's
So,
already up there.
Okay.
Okay, and we're all good with the rest of the park board stuff. Oh, the only other thing I wrote down, we budget for a full family plan, so we're jumping group insurance and everyone's budgets sometimes by 26%. Is that how we want to budget? Or do we want to,
oh yeah, Danny's health insurance.
was a 26, but I've got a feeling there's others that look like that too, isn't there?
Well, some of them said 7.5. We
Yeah,
Yeah, some did,
that's
but
the
then-
only one that was off, and I figured we can change it
Let-
to 406,000.
Yeah,
in
let's
highway.
change his. Okay. Is everybody good with changing his? Okay.
Because that number fluctuates anyway.
Right.
So-
Right.
So what was it, 7.5%?
Yeah.
7.5 instead of
So I want to clarify on the park board's 44,000 line item. Are you taking that whole entire requested amount out of county general? Because in this year's budget, he had 110
Correct.
for 26. He asked for 113.3.
Yeah, so we're taking it all out
Taking it all out. Okay.
and putting it all in Riverboat.
Okay.
We're funding it, just not
And that
in
was the
general.
Confusion of the 3,300 because of the
Correct.
110 versus
Now,
113.
Yeah.
But the parks also have $260,000
And they're non,
And
and they're
they're
non-reverting.
non-reverting, yes.
Do we want to push anything back onto that and say, you guys use that fund?
I think we should give that direction next year to use the non,
We
Okay.
can, or give them direction on some of the improvements that they want to make.
Yeah. if you
Use
look at
that.
Like if
5
it's
year and see
playground equipment or
playgrounds,
whatever it
yeah.
is.
yes,
Um,
I like that idea.
because then they can plan that non-reverting fund a little better instead of, do we ask council for this or do we not, or whatever?
There is
Okay.
one consideration.
Yeah.
And you're not gonna believe this. I don't know what the right amount is. However, in the IT department, there's only $500 to look for AI. And AI is something that I think that we need to start looking and investing to see how we can reduce people in the long run by consolidating functions and all that. I would defer, if Scott is in agreement with me, I will defer to Scott to give us an idea to start this year doing some active AI, at least understanding and training and whatever. I don't know how.
I don't want to speak for Scott,
Oh,
but here's where my thought is, as someone who works with AI and works in a corporation that's using AI extensively. I think his people are going to figure this out. So my guess is he hasn't budgeted for it because a lot of the AI work is about his people getting trained to write agents and having a closed loop model that we can bring into the county, but his people can do that. We don't have to pay a consultant to do that for us.
No, I'm not suggesting a consultant.
No, I'm just saying we don't need to give him more budget because his people will be working
It's going
on
to
it.
use labor hours.
Yeah, we don't need to
Ladies.
budget money for AI. Like his people are his power with AI.
That, yeah, Scott, I'm gonna guess that $500 was for your, fancy Chat GPT.
Yeah, that's for the team subscription for our website,
Yes.
graphic generation and things like that, yeah. So, and I think, our course next year is, of course, to do just that, to get an in-house, that engine running. And then the hardest part of all of it is gonna be to have discussions with all the departments and yourselves and figure out where and how it makes sense to invest into, maybe some more extensive AI, to replacing some workflows, manual processes, things like that. And we probably are gonna get into some potential products at that point that we
Yes.
might need. But maybe we'll have a more clear direction of specific things that we want to make more efficient rather than.
So next year you'll be able to come up with a better figure.
I think so. I think we should start discussions and
No
then
problem.
have.
I think that we need to start thinking for the future and
Yes.
start investing for the future is all I'm trying to say. And AI is the future,
And we'll be more mature next year too.
Yeah.
It'll be.
hopefully.
And
Well,
also-
hopefully it will not take 10 years to do the web
Right.
page like we did this time.
It'll be onto something else by then.
But also managing how all of the different departments are using it and making sure that we don't have any unnecessary exposure.
Court service.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And I think we need some sponsorship for a county policy or, something to add to the handbook about that as well.
Software description.
And George, to answer kind of your question also, there is embedded in this budget many more expenses for AI type products.
Okay.
Because a lot of individual offices are paying for Chat GPT or Claude or some type of a subscription and running it through their communication line, but have not specifically told anyone or had approval or anything like that.
Okay.
So a lot of the lengthy emails that you receive from county employees are probably done with AI. When you get some of them from employees like me that say no, I wrote that myself.
Scott,
I do that.
when departments download a software such as that, do they require admin rights from your department? So it is being
Yeah.
inspected before?
That's
Okay.
right, yeah. Now, we can't control, at this point, we can't control the web browser access to those components. So I think I'm gonna be having conversations with you sooner than later, and the commissioners, of building up some policy to add to our acceptable use agreement that we have at the county. We're converging very quickly on, obviously, there's usages that we weren't very aware of. And we're gonna have to get ahead of that before we can build on it, I think.
Very good.
Just some thoughts.
Getting close to 4:30, but is there anything else, Leah?
Okay.
So basically, we have approved the budget already, so we don't have to meet tomorrow.
No, that we most likely won't. There's a few things. Okay. We've not talked about the increase of 100,000 with Humane Society. We all good there?
Yeah.
Yeah. There was a 70,000 increase with repair and maintenance from the commissioners. No, from maintenance, which is commissioners.
What was that for?
I don't get that. There's a 70,000 for IT software.
No, it was something in maintenance, repairs and maintenance line item was 70,180 increase.
What line?
It's on this sheet.
The commissioners improve. I don't see it.
Machinery, no, that's.
It's right under Humane Society. Maintenance, repairs, 70,180.
That's in the maintenance department's budget.
Yeah.
Yes, they asked for an additional 70,180.
And
What are they doing with it?
And Rick Tripp is very conservative. A matter of fact, Rick Tripp saves us a lot of money by doing a lot of things in-house. So if that's what he needs to get that done, I will not question that at all.
Well, my experience with Rick is that he is a renegade and does things on his own.
Who's a renegade?
Rick Trimpey.
Oh,
So he was the fire chief for Wayne Township, Jonesville for 30 years.
Yeah.
And he would consistently ask for more funding, and I would say, fine, give me your budget. And no, I'm not doing that. I said, then you get no more money. And he somehow
that
continued to
has not
operate.
been my experience in the
Continue to
county.
operate.
Yeah, he operated just fine.
Well, you wanna go ahead and let
Yeah.
Heather go since she's here?
Well,
I'm looking through, is there anything else? The ASAP increase, IT subscriptions? Is there any red flags on anything you guys want to discuss? I'm not
Based on
seeing
this
any.
last general financial fund analysis that auditor gave us this morning. Is that what you're talking
Yeah,
about?
I'm looking through this. Anything else where there's like an outlier? I'm not seeing anything, but I just want to make sure, because if there's nothing, ultimately we've got to listen to solid waste, but she's always got her act together, and then the library's gonna meet. We may not need to meet tomorrow if we're all good, and we'll be ready for first reading on September 21st.
what do you want to do about the elected officials fund for council?
Oh,
Do
yeah.
you want to add money to the elected officials fund for you guys
It's on
training?
the auditor's tab.
To do training.
Oh, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Please do.
We also need to talk about,
Let's get this one first, George, before we go to something else. What was?
So
where is
you
the
currently
5
don't
grand?
have 5,000 for council training. It just changed that now.
Does it
council
have
can
to come out
budget-
of that fund, or can it come out of our line item that we have for training?
Oh, your line item.
Well, then
So
I
there's,
have to add it.
the thing about adding it to the elected officials training fund is that the money in that fund that is derived from the recorder's perpetuation fund isn't used for much, and it keeps building up, so,
Okay, then put it here.
yeah, that's where I would agree with Barb, and that we add it to that line item.
Is 5 enough?
We need to
Five will probably be plenty.
3.5%.
I mean, it's like the,
We need to talk.
One or-
about
one or-
that.
Good with that.
There's
You're
contract
fine.
employees, there are part-time employees. Okay.
Okay, so the 3.5% increase, who does it all go to? Because he's asking, does it go to part-time employees? Does it go to contract employees? Does it just go to full-time employees?
That is up to you. We did it based
Right.
on
We
any
need, what I'm saying is we
employee.
need to discuss that. We need to
So
agree
any
with that.
employee, so what, I think it goes to everyone.
Yeah.
I don't wanna,
Since I've been
Yeah.
in here.
But we
Consensus
have
is-
people in contract,
There's 4 right there.
We-
people in contract that, I mean, are you saying everybody, people in contract also?
How many contractors
What,
do we have in there? Are we paying them an hourly rate or are they invoicing us? How are we paying contractors?
Everyone is different.
yeah, some are different. So what I would say with that is, for example, if there's a contract employee in, let's say, the recorder's office, when they redo the contract for January, they would probably ask for a 3.5% raise on that.
Okay.
So this group can give directive to all of the department heads that say, if they want to have their contracts in alignment with the 3.5% raise, they need to let us know where that is, because some are embedded in the budget, and we can make that change then.
Perfect.
Our elected
that's
officials.
fine. We have not addressed that, is what I'm saying.
No, you're absolutely right.
but we're not paying additional tax, things like that.
Right, per-
Because they're 1099
Yeah.
versus W-2.
Yeah.
So.
Basically all of them.
Except state employees.
Right.
Right, except state, yeah. Okay.
Pia, anything else you can think of that we've not discussed?
No?
Anybody else got anything for us that we had, is there any department heads that did not show up that had, other than what was on this cheat sheet? That we need to
The cheat
discuss?
sheets all
Yeah,
presented before
That's
us.
the big ones. I mean, some people may have moved 500 here to here, or,
Okay,
but nothing big.
so we're good.
So we'll just need to know, and we can advertise. Actually, we'd want to advertise revenue low, so we'd advertise our tax rate higher. Is that correct?
We want to advertise income low, say that again?
You want to advertise your revenue low so that then your tax rate is advertised higher.
Than what it potentially could be.
Okay.
But,
After,
but for your analysis purposes,
We can still submit, like, we've already submitted the budget, correct?
we have
That's
not.
So it is out there, but it's not official until we upload that Form 3, which
one?
has to be done. Well, it's gonna be September 4th when your meeting was on the 14th, so we have to do it 10 days ahead of time.
Do we want to advertise the original budget requests?
What have we done in the past?
I don't know, that's why
we
I'm asking.
normally have.
Yes, 'cause we
advertised on
wanna
the
advertise
end.
high.
That's what I'm thinking, we want to advertise
Advertise on the high end.
advertise what was requested, but be ready for what we just
Right.
talked about.
Yeah,
And
just
can
as
you
of right now.
email us this final after today,
Yeah.
what we just cut back to?
I'm not promising you're gonna get it. in the
Not
morning.
today.
Yeah, you're not gonna get it tomorrow, but we'll go over it with a fine tooth comb.
Okay.
I do have a question, with that in mind.
Okay.
After all the changes that we have basically agreed, where do we come out in our budget? Are we within the income that we're getting, or we are higher, lower?
We're lower.
We will have that analysis for you when we submit that here in the next,
Okay.
It looks.
hopefully early
positive.
next week, if not before.
We were already below budget. We
That's
just cut,
what I kind of remember, but with this thing that we just added,
yeah, we just took more out of the
Yeah.
budget, so.
That'll be a plus
Bring them up.
All right, Heather. Welcome.
Heather, if you're asking for an increase, don't worry about it, you're not gonna get it.
Well, I did send the copy, because it's a lot of numbers, but I'll give you a copy as well.
Thank you.
Thank
appreciate it.
Thank you, ma'am.
Hey,
Appreciate it.
Laura, but Sharon, I've got her
I
budget.
have.
You don't have her budget.
Yeah.
I have it
Heather, I tried to
memorized.
approve you in Gateway and it kicked you out saying that you didn't have something.
I don't understand that, cause I have access to budget, so
I don't either.
I won't begin to.
Was it the authorization form? We already had, she had auzation for it too, so
Yeah.
it was to
I
do
think
the
it's okay.
upload.
I don't see any.
Worry about.
Well, I'll quickly run through all of these numbers. In the section of our budget, we do have the 2% wage increase. Again, if you finally decide on the 3.5, we are ready and able to update that section.
We just decided.
As well, you'll see that we are budgeting for the 13 employees when it comes to our insurance. That is a reduction. We lost 2 employees last year, but we do have those with the family coverage at the 7.5% in our
Are you
ones.
instructed to quote everybody at family coverage, or do all your employees already have family coverage?
So my thought is we used to have a lot of long-term employees. A lot of those long-term employees are retiring. So we have a lot of new employees that are probably younger and have the more potential for family coverage. So that's why we've landed there. Everyone that works for us does not take coverage or have family coverage. So if you think we should budget for that in a different way, I think we're open. But with, we've had, 3 20-year employees retire in the past few years. Now we have employees that are much younger and probably needing the coverage. So that's why we've landed in that spot. That brings the one section of our budget to $1,377,975. So there is a slight decrease because of that reduction in staff.
Yeah, and the reduction in staff is due to the cardboard recycling program now shifting over to Rumpke. So that was done by our own employees, but now it's Rumpke's responsibility.
Yeah. In the 2s or the supply section, we did do a across the board 2% increase. We are really feeling the pinch of inflation on purchasing supplies, repairs and maintenance. So we did decide to increase that across the board. It's $118,486 for the supplies or the 2s. In the 3 section, that's our services and charges. We do have a sizable increase, specifically in our landfill services line. So that is how we pay our contractor for the actual operation of the working phase of the landfill. And that's one that we need to work better on budgeting. We do have a CPI inflator in that contract that unfortunately changes annually. So that's a variable cost for us that's hard to necessarily forecast. As well, we're taking out of county trash now. So that affects our tonnage. That contract is affected by a tonnage rate as well. So we're trying to better budget in that section and be more accurate. And then unfortunately, we do inflate that number slightly because of those variable costs. Otherwise, in the 3s, we will have some landfill road paving and then tree clearing that will happen in 27 in anticipation of cell construction coming in 2029. So those are kind of the reasons why things are increased. So the 3 section of our budget is $3,337,112. In our 4s and our capitals, we do have a few capital projects. We will be upgrading our oil burning furnace in the recycling center, purchasing a forklift for the recycling center, and then doing that tree clearing and paving at the landfill. So those are our major projects. As well, towards the end of the fours, you will see we are putting money in our closure post-closure fund, which is the fund that we use when we someday will close our construction demolition landfill, our current landfill. So, you know, it's some savings when we won't have revenue coming in. And then as well, we have established a non-reverting capital fund that we are starting to fund here in 26, but we will continue to fund in 27, and hopefully we can use that so that our tax rate does not fluctuate. It would be a saving plan for us for equipment, but also for major landfill projects. So, you know, that's a great thing for us to have that we just recently established. So that does bring us and our capital projects to $1,123,175. And that brings us to an overall budget of $5,956,748. I do want to say our revenues are covering our expenses. Largely, we get revenues from property tax and from the landfill. But those are covering our expenses with an estimated excess of about $250,000. So we are trying to keep kind of within those constraints. We do expect to keep our tax rate flat, which is 2.82, so 2 cents. We are trying to keep that at that rate and stay flat. We will be getting a little bit less revenue from property tax, but have made up with that with the out of county tonnage changes at the landfill. So that's good.
And with the 3.5% increase, you still have enough in your revenue? Okay.
Yes.
So you're like,
Yes.
I've done the math.
Yeah, we did a whole bunch of scenarios and I
Okay.
think either way will be fine. Again, the major future projects will be coming in 28 with cell closure and in 2030 with cell opening. So projects are coming, hoping to continue to build up that non-reverting capital fund to help smooth out in those years where we do have high expenses. But that's overall our budget.
Perfect.
Yeah, I figured out 5
Don't-
different
don't-
scenarios. We're
How long
good.
lifespan remaining on the landfill?
Yeah, so if we just looked at the landfill a couple years ago, we probably had about 50 years of capacity. We are going through the process still of making height and slope changes. We've done that here locally, going to BZA. We will be making those changes in our contract, our landfill permitting process, and we think we have about 78 years of landfill capacity with those changes. So that is good news.
That is very good news.
No one wants to cite a landfill. I wasn't involved, but it's not a fun process. So
Can
all the
only
life we
imagine.
can get out of the one we have, we will try to find.
That'll take me past my life.
Good.
Not
We're
my
all for a landfill as long as it's not in our backyard.
That's
Well,
exactly
that's
right.
right.
Until it
And,
is.
and it's gotta be in somebody's backyard.
True.
Like-
I remember the last one.
Appreciate you. Thank you for all the work.
Yeah, thank you.
Looks good.
Real quick, just so you know, I heard back from Rick Trempy. He said that he previously was using a lot more AC units going down, and the newer ones are a lot more expensive due to the newer Freon units with propane. Yeah, they're
Makes
being
sense.
taken down, but he.
No, like,
I priced one for my house. I don't, I'm not commercial, but
not cheap. All right, our last
Library.
is the library. Vanessa.
I'm gonna cut out. We gotta-
Right now, no
No,
tomorrow.
no, tomorrow.
There will be a tomorrow. I'm just kidding.
Here. Will be with me tomorrow.
okay. Thank you. It will not let me open the light. I doing something wrong?
I haven't tried yet.
Cross country.
Did it
For
let
those
you?
of you that don't know, Vanessa Martin is the new, is it director?
Interim director.
Interim director at the library,
Yes.
so she's
Yes.
new to us.
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
And this is something new, that they have to start coming before council, as does solid waste, due to the increase in their.
Okay.
So they'll come at the first reading and second reading, as does solid waste.
Hi, your name one more time, I'm sorry.
Vanessa Martin.
Thank you.
Welcome, Vanessa.
Thank
Yes.
you. Yes, so this is all new. The budget process is not new for me. But this, going before council, binding review, this part of the budget is new. So what I passed around is a budget synopsis that I came up with, to show a breakdown, of our budget. So at the top, we have our estimated max levy, and then we have our, the taxes and different miscellaneous revenue that we would bring in next year. And then below that, I have the budget comparison, compared 2026 to 2027. So I broke it down for each of those categories. So personal services, 4,297,000. For supplies, 61,146. Other services and charges, 1,208,319, and capital outlays, 284,000. So we are looking at restoring our budget to basically 2025 numbers. Last year, we had a sizable donation from an anonymous donor, but that was for this year, 2026, and we were able to reduce our budget and reallocate money to the different funds. But for 2027, we don't have that anymore. And so we need to raise our budget. As you all know, the cost of everything is rising. And you would be surprised that even books are more expensive, but even books are more expensive. We use a courier service to transport materials around Indiana. All Indiana libraries share materials. The cost of that continues to go up with fuel expenses and personnel and that kind of thing. So we're continuing to see those cost increases go up as well. Supplies, probably most of you know, we have some wonderful programs at the library, but we do have to buy supplies and things, for those programs to continue. And so supply costs keep going up and we have to meet those demands. So this is the budget that I put together. There is another gift fund listed. This is a change as well. We've never had to appropriate gift funds. But this is a new thing, starting mid-2026, the SBOA has changed their opinion, and we have to appropriate our gift funds now. So our gift funds are when someone comes to the library and says, I want to give $100 to the library and you can use it for whatever. Well, no longer can we just spend it on whatever, we have to appropriate those funds. So that is included as well in your numbers in the budget. And I did not give every breakdown of each one, but I'm happy to share that with everyone if we need to. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
I got one question.
Yep.
And I don't know if I'm reading the thing correctly. In the last total budget comparisons percent by fund, on the general, there's an increase of 92.7%.
That is not an increase. It is just the portion of the total budget. Yes, the portion. So you'll see, obviously,
So
operating is
basically, on the
large
top
portion.
thing, budget comparison, that is where the increases are.
That is correct, yes. And you'll see some fluctuation from 2026, like a reduction in personal services in that line. There's actually a reduction from 26 to 27, but then there's a little bit of an increase in supplies. Other services and charges are roughly the same, and then an increase for our capital outlays, which includes all of our materials. So everything we buy for patrons that goes on the shelf.
Am I reading this correctly? Your your expenses outweigh your expected revenue, so is the difference coming from?
We have a cash balance.
Okay, thanks.
Yes. And I did meet with our DLGF rep today and everything looked good on the forms and everything, so we're good there.
And this basically, this budget covers both the library on 4th Street. Does it include the old North Crescent?
So it includes our downtown library, our Hope Library, our East Side Library, and the Lex. Yes, all four buildings.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
and you're expecting the tax rate to stay flat, like your rate to stay flat.
Yes.
Perfect. Perfect. This looks good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Yes,
Thanks.
welcome. I've been scanning over things.
I think you did everything.
I can't find anything else that we need to talk about. Well, do we want to keep stipends in?
Yeah, we
They-
said yes.
Yes, okay, sorry. I didn't mark that, so,
Okay.
And we're clear what we did with the commission.
yep.
Thank you. So.
Penny, I think we talked about salary, we talked about food, all covered, we talked about operations, we talked about hope, new jobs. I am concerned, I don't have and I have in agreement with the jobs that we're adding. However, every year we continue to add jobs and we do not delete jobs.
We
Well,
delete.
excuse me, with the exception of this year, we did delete one job, but we added more than we deleted. And somewhere,
Well, outside of the sheriff's department, where did we, I mean, the coroner got the one, but the
Yeah,
auditor
trans-
But that
office went
wasn't
down
really-
one, so that's
There's
neutral.
been a 5-year plan, right?
But the
Like,
sheriff,
but nevertheless.
was there other personnel that was added?
Yeah, the prosecutor said she was gonna come and
Yeah.
she didn't.
Right,
Yeah,
so I think we're okay.
But nevertheless, the thing is this, the single most expensive item in the budget is personnel. Okay,
Mhm.
whether it's
Oh, yeah.
salaries, salary increases, perf, medical insurance, whatever you wanna call it. That is the single most expensive thing. If we continue adding people, you cannot continue to have your operating expenses flat every year. Okay? So, and the biggest increase that we normally tend to have is people, so I caution you in the future, we need to develop ways of how to become more efficient. We get rid of some things that we're doing now that we don't longer need to do and add something else in replace it and how to work more efficient.
I think one thing we missed this year, which I know I spoke to Dave about it, looking at the 200s and 300s, even the 400s, our employees and office holders kept that pretty flat.
They did.
I mean, real flat when you start looking, that was the employee increases were the crux of the budget was. It wasn't, more pens and paper and all these other things, except a little bit you could see the needed, but it was pretty flat that I've seen compared to years before. So kudos to them.
And I think as a council, we can do a better job of communicating to the department heads, like what we expect from them.
agree.
Yeah, like you said, moving forward, when we first started, setting that bar annually by the cost of living adjustment, by sending that to the department heads, that this is where your starting point is. And if we can afford it from there, that's fine. If not, because I think it's a great idea. So I've seen over 30 years where we chase our tail every year, where somebody did something. What do we put in? We don't know. It's an educated guess, because Pia, you didn't have the numbers. We're guessing what to put in and everything else and what we can afford and not. But if they come up with that growth quotient, something to start with, not growth quotient, but cost of living adjustment, that's a starting point. And that worked this year, so I hope we can do that next year. And if we afford that, we'll do it. If we can't, we'll go from there.
Well, and you also have some items that increase that were not bid. We haven't revisited, our vendor just said, oh, it's going up, and we put it in. And what I'm talking about is insurance increases.
Yeah,
you know, w- we don't hold the insurance companies' feet to the fire, so to say. I mean,
911 did negotiate their,
911 did a nice job negotiating for their new services.
Yeah.
That
And
was mandated, but I mean,
Dale
Jail
getting
did
that
too.
dishwasher down.
right.
They announced that at the commissioners meeting a couple of weeks ago, so.
And, you know, I think to George's point, a lot of the HVAC work that is done in-house.
Yeah.
So our costs there, while have increased, it's because but they're buying the equipment and doing the labor themselves. And I know last time I had something like that done, the labor's what gets you.
Every time.
and they're massive units.
Yeah.
We've all been cold the past 2 days, so.
Well, yeah, that's,
We know it's working.
well, it's.
This has been probably the easiest.
Depends where you're at.
Oh, it feels
Yeah,
great.
it depends where you're at. I mean, over there, it's hot, it's a lot hot, it's a lot hotter.
I was okay over here, man. One other thing, George, my last budget
Oh,
session.
You
But
did.
it's I can second it. 'cause
I
it's early.
motion to adjourn right now,
Bill, you got a second?
and we don't approve the.
I'll give it a big thumbs up.
Okay.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thanks, guys.